good evening, and welcome to Livid Comics Lair. Tonight we have two special guests with us tonight. Don't usually do two guests, but tonight we are, so it's kind of a special treat for everybody. What we wanted to do, guys, is we wanted to start to bring in some of the fine art element into the comic book world too. I was from that background doing both, so I really feel there's an opportunity to merge kind of two worlds here. So this is going to be a really nice show where we get to talk to a couple other fine artists tonight. So we have one fine artist from Boston, Massachusetts, and another one, she is from Western Virginia. So please welcome our friends, Leah Seaman and JJ McManus.
Hey.
Boom.
Whoa.
Just like that, we're live, so nice and easy.
You got like an eerie tone going on to your look tonight with the lighting
like that?
there.
Yeah, you like that? Went pro, sir. I got some new lighting in here, so I'm trying to make it more eerie. We're in the Lair, so it's got to be, right? So.
It kind of looks like a real life filter. You know how when you put like one of those filters on your drawings, it looks like real life filter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's just a black light. It's like one of $2.99 black light, but I thought it'd be neat. It's getting to be Halloween, right? It's October, so what the hell?
True.
You know? It makes my teeth look wonderfully white too, which is great. So.
Who needs a dentist?
That's right. It's fabulous. I'll have some weird tan on this side of my face, but this side will be normal. So it's cool. It's all good.
Yeah, that makes two of us. Yeah.
That's right. So what's up, everybody? How you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
It's fine, yeah.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it. This is fun.
Yeah, thank you
I've
very
been looking
much.
forward to this one for a little while, so this is exciting because being a fine artist, I get to bring some of my people, and then we can torment John and Ruggiero together. We can all team up on them as fine artists and talk our talk. So it's going to be fun. Yep.
All you have to do is say the word fine artist, and I'm like a puppy. It's like, yes, sir, please. I would like to do that someday. I appreciate the name.
That's awesome. John, she dropped off. Maybe she'll come back. Probably John.
I mean, most people can only handle 2 minutes of us, so
apparently.
Fed up already.
Yeah. I think Leah said she was up at a farm in New York or something. So maybe there's some connection.
She's doing a mural.
Yeah. Yep. That's fine.
She's on another one of her murals. I'd like to know how big it's supposed to be. I mean, her last one was gorgeous, and I can't imagine the next one's not going to be even better.
The video she was posting on Instagram, that thing looks massive. It looks like it's gonna be a big one. So.
Yeah, I have a hard time with just an 8.5 by 11 comic illustration, let alone trying to do the side of a barn, or whatever she's doing. So.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult and challenging. Yep.
Yeah.
So JJ, are you in Boston proper? Or are you in one of the burbs there, or where you coming from?
I am in Boston proper, a small village called Brighton.
Yeah, I got you.
Right next to Channel 2. So there she's back. Anytime you see Channel 2
I'm so sorry, I lost you guys for a second.
That's okay. It's the perils of the live stream, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we said that most people struggle to stick with us after 2 minutes anyway, so.
That's the case.
This will happen. Promise I don't hate you guys. The Wi-Fi just hates me.
Yeah.
Which generally I would make a joke at this point about living in Appalachia and having just really shitty Wi-Fi, but I'm in Upper New York, so I guess my phone just dislikes me. That's
equally shitty Wi-Fi. That's where my people are from. That's where my people are from, so that's fine.
Duly noted. It's a curse wherever I go.
Meanwhile, JJ's in the Mecca Center of Boston, where he's got medWi-Fi. So there's probably
I got 5
available.
bars all the time.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There actually is on one of the street lights in front of my house. There's a repeater, a Wi-Fi repeater that the city put up while wrecking the street over the summer. So, always got the bars.
It seems that tonight we have two people that has some Irish heritage. Am I wrong? Because your name suggests that both names suggest that you have some kind of relationship with Ireland. Am I wrong? Yeah, and also you are in Boston, which is
yes, and I'm wearing a Scully cap. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm Irish. And my father would say we were Black Irish because we're from the south of Ireland, but that was a long time ago, and we had to leave real quick during the uprising. That was the only thing I ever heard. So, and they moved to Boston, and we've been here ever since. And this is my house. This is my mansion. This is the legacy.
That's awesome.
Leah?
Yeah, that's cool.
Can you repeat the question again, because my audio is being really funky?
I wasn't
I'm
really
sorry,
a
guys.
question,
I'm going to be that person tonight.
No worries.
No, he was just talking about the last names, saying that you guys both look like you must be from Irish heritage.
I think it is just for you, Jerry. I cannot understand a word you are saying.
No, neither could I. He was breaking up.
Oh wait.
It's doing something really funky with your audio. I'm so sorry.
I can hear everybody fine. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Might be the headset. It might be the headset. Might be your cans.
Should I
could be.
log out and log back in again?
You can try that. You can try it.
Yep.
I took I can tell a funny story about my last name while we're waiting.
No worries.
Yeah. Well, my last name's Durgan, which is Irish. It comes from Durkin, and you're in Boston. I don't know if you ever went to Durgan Park before they shut down. So
go on.
No relation, but I went there on my 25th birthday, and I tried to tell them that my uncle owned the place. I was trying to get free drinks, and they read right through that. And they gave me a cement mixer, which is, if anyone knows what that is, you don't want to drink that. But I was stupid, and I drank it, and it's a bad night. But yeah, I thought that I was being clever. I showed them my ID. I'm like, I'm serious. I don't know why you guys are, don't believe me. Like, my last name's Durgan. It's Durgan Park. But still,
welcome back.
Thanks. I can hear you. Awesome.
All right.
That
helps.
That's good.
It helps. Yeah, sometimes the stream gets weird. That does happen. It gets a little strange sometimes. Yeah.
The waitresses in Durgan Park were notorious for being terrible to the customers. That was part of the charm of the place.
Yeah.
That you could go for dinner, and if you didn't finish dinner, they wouldn't bring you coffee. Go, no, finish your dinner. It was a wonderful restaurant, and it was a good place to go to get abused.
Oh, that looks like family there.
Oh yeah,
I felt right at home. Yeah.
But there were no tables. There were 3 long benches and just chairs. So everyone was, you were right next to the person next to you, whoever that was, and it was a totally different atmosphere from any place you've ever been to before. It's a great place.
That's
what
awesome.
a brave business model. I admire that.
Yep. Yes. At least there's no expectations, right? You just be shitty to people, and people know what to expect. It's all right.
Yeah.
But the prime rib was to die for.
Prime rib?
Oh, the prime rib was exquisite. That was the only reason you ever went to Durgan Park, was for the prime rib. Huge pieces of prime rib, and it was beautifully cooked. And then they were nasty to you. And it's like, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
You settle. Yeah.
Isn't there a restaurant where you go to get specifically insulted?
Oh,
like the waitress's job is to insult you, like, personally.
That was right in Boston too. That was what was that place called?
Was it by Faneuil Hall, right? Was it?
Yeah.
That was Durgan. That was Durgan Park.
Was it really?
No, there was a Dick's.
Like
it's called Dick's, I think.
Was it Dirty Dick's or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what I'm hearing
I don't want
is
to type
Bostonians really like to be dicks to people.
Yeah.
Like, that's just an MO of Bostonians. That's
Yeah,
terrifying.
which one of the restaurants isn't the restaurant?
I think we would all agree to that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they give me a discount. It's all right. You can say anything, whatever. Give me a nice discount. and some, pretty larger beers, the largest that you have, and it's okay.
Rogerio has no
worry
shame.
anymore.
If he could save money and get a good meal, they can say whatever they want to him. Yeah.
That's it.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's not going to be only about the kind of small talk tonight. I have some serious questions for you guys.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. Not serious. But I'm just curious about something. It's like you both. If I could judge only the works, I would separate. I would think that McManus would do what you were doing, and you would be doing what he is doing, because he's into manipulating images, working on computer, like messing with loads of different kinds of imagery, and you were doing the opposite. You're going out, like facing the environment, and all the problems that come with it, and painting big murals. Like you go kind of old school, and McManus is like doing something that my kid is starting to learn, and he loves doing it, which is playing with Photoshop and everything that's connected to the tech of it. And both of you, why is that? What was your calling to do what you are doing now? Like, let's start with the lady.
Explain yourself, Leah.
Well, I'm actually psychotic.
What
I actually
Leah's
just
like there,
really,
John?
the thought of being comfortable is just crazy to me. So we're gonna go put ourselves out in 86-degree sun or 46-degree cold, and it'll be fine. But on a serious note, I've kind of been a part-time artist for about 10 years now. It's been like how I got grocery money. It's how I avoided my parents pressing me into any form of actual work, as in being a waitress or working in fast food. That terrified me. And so when I graduated, I was like, what the hell? COVID kind of proved to me that, everything's pretty crazy. So why not go after what you love? And something that I'm really passionate about, especially coming from a lower income area, is making sure that art is accessible to all people. Like, art should not just be for the upper 1%. It should be for people from like my area, which is lower to middle income areas. And at the same time, not sacrificing your ability to be able to support yourself fully. And so that just kind of means getting creative and doing a lot of different things to supplement that income. So not only am I doing commissions, I'm doing murals, I'm painting at events, I'm doing tattoo designs, whatever I can do at the end of the day to provide a lot of art for a lot of different people while also paying the bills. And it's been pretty fun, and it keeps me from getting bored, because I'm not painting everybody's dead dog for 5 times a day. It's
my God, you get the dead dogs too. That's amazing. I was thinking I was the only person that painted dead things. Dead people, dead pets. That's my shtick.
So many dead people. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm
right?
about done with the dead people.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy, but we do horror comics, so it's all right.
No, that's the first time.
Not actually painting them in dead state, Rogerio. Like to honor them, what they look like alive.
Oh my God!
I'm not doing postmortem. Not doing postmortem portraits of people's loved ones.
What a fun niche that would be.
Oh man, the crime scene. Yeah. The first time I ever drew a pet for a commission, it was. I didn't know at the time that it was a dead dog. Someone just asked me to draw it, and then they like tagged me on their Facebook post and was like crying about it, like that their dog. I'm like, glad you liked it. And yeah, it's people.
Here's the thing I have noticed though. That cat that you see on the screen, I have only had 2 cat commissions in the 10 years I've been painting. Only 2. Wow. People do not like their cats. Like, dogs will have them. They will spend $500 getting a dog painted, but no one wants their cats painted. And my theory is because they're assholes, but I just really don't know.
even this one has 2 dogs in it, right? Like, yeah, this one has a cat, but they're like, yeah, we want the dogs too. So
that reminds me of the Goodfellas painting. One dog's looking this way, the other one's looking the other way, and this guy's like, hey, what are you looking at?
Yes.
Remember that scene in Goodfellas when he goes to his mom's house, Pesci's mom's house? Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I don't know, my mind goes all over the place. Yeah, I love when people are like, how did you get the dog to sit still so long?
That's a question I get a lot with my live paintings. Like people will, so I do paint at weddings and things like that. And the bride and groom, God bless them, they'll be like, "Do you need us to like kiss for 2 hours so you can paint us?" And I'm like, "No, that's okay. I'll just take a photo.
Yes,
You go get
yes, I
drunk.
do.
I'll have something pretty for you at the end of the
Yeah.
evening."
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, do you go out, Leah, and take the photos too of the pets, or is that ones that they supply to you? And I got a reason for that question.
They generally supply it to me, and I've gotten very good over the years at working with some very low quality photos and producing
I
pretty
was
high
gonna
quality
say,
stuff.
yeah,
Because you just,
yeah, because you get some
you,
crap cell phone picture of the dog running by, and they're like, "Can you put him standing on top of his doghouse, like with a bone in his mouth?" Like, dude, that's not the picture at all. Like, you know, yeah,
my trick is I have them send me as many photos, like especially with like dead people paintings and things like that. I have them send me like 10, 15 different images of the same person, and then you just kind of bullshit it, and it generally works out. Sometimes it's a little bit rough, and you're just like, I'll forget about this painting. But most of the time it works out pretty okay if I get a few photos. And sometimes it means stalking people's Facebooks because they don't know what the meaning of the word photo is. So
yeah, it's blown out lighting, or it's a horrible,
Mhm.
resolution. Yeah, that kind of stuff too. So, one of the things I found doing portraits, maybe you do the same thing too, is that you almost always will do like 2 or 3 edits. Like you think the work is done, but people see themselves differently, right? So they might say, "Oh, they think the nose is a little big." It's like, "Well, dude, you have a big nose." Like, sorry to tell you. Like, do you run into that at all? Like, or is that just me being my artistic struggles that I have a hard time with?
So I one time had a 9x12 oil painting, and my client, God bless him, I think I went through about 20 rounds of edits. And part of this was because my client was a family friend, so it's not like I could be like, no, because like there's a relationship there that I don't want to burn. I went through about 20 edits and eventually kind of got to the point where I was like, "Listen, buddy, I can only make you so skinny. I can only shrink you. I can only get rid of the wrinkles so much. It's not going to look like you anymore. Like, then that's not going to be even a good painting anymore." And so I had to just kind of give up and put my hands in the air. It taught me how to set boundaries. It really did, and how to
Yeah.
say no to people but it's also kind of funny because people like are insecure about the weirdest things. Like you would think, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, well, I understand if you want me to fix this, but then you want me to like edit a dimple or something. I don't get that, but okay.
Right.
And people don't tend to understand that if you change, and like I'm sure you might have seen this with portraits, like if you change even one minute detail that's like vital, like the tilt of an eyebrow,
Yes.
you completely
Yes.
change how a person looks. Like you
Yeah.
lose their personality entirely. And so it's really hard when people want you to change fundamental things about them, because then it's no longer a portrait. It's an idealized, stylized image. And so it's really hard to work with non-artistic people sometimes on that, because you're like trying to explain like, you're not going to get the product you want. Like, this ain't it. It's not going to work. Talk to a Photoshop person, but this is not going to work for me.
Have you
Right.
ever told them to go to a plastic surgeon?
I have not gotten that brave yet. I still need customers. So I'm so terrified of getting some angry like Karen going on my Facebook page and leaving a bad review, because I'm still so small time that I can't handle that yet.
Yeah, you could have a crash course on those restaurants you just mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Talk to the waiters, then find
Right.
out how to do it.
Maybe I'll partner with plastic surgeons and be like, send your clients to me. I'll paint them the way they want to look, and then they'll decide if they want to go forward with your surgery or not.
there you go.
New
Yeah,
business
I'm
idea right
sure
here.
There's a market for it. I'm sure. There
Yeah.
is.
So it's crazy though how you're when you talk about how like you could just tweak something slightly and it just changes the whole face. Like
Mhm.
I remember, what got Joel and me like connected was I started, drawing on the side, doing pencil drawings, and I would probably annoy the crap out of him, but I kept texting him like in progress. I'd be like, "What is wrong here?" He'd be like, "The eye needs to go up 1/4 of an inch," and I'm like, "Seriously?" And you fix it, and it's like, "Holy crap, there it is. That's it." It's
completely
just
different.
wild. Yeah.
And the worst is when you're
but-
working on small surfaces too, because sometimes you don't have utensils that like allow you to get that really small detail. But you know, if you
Yes.
just adjusted the eye by like, yeah, half an inch, then it would look perfectly fine. I really fell in love with the like flipping the painting upside down method, which to like normal
Yeah.
people makes you look insane. Like when I'm at
Mm.
weddings and stuff, I will be standing there with the painting upside down, and people get very confused. But it's like, listen, if I don't do something, it's not gonna look like that. There's no way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like John Singer Sargent said, a portrait's nothing. What did he say? Something. It's nothing more than like an attempt to get a likeness with something funny about the mouth. Or something. That was like what the definition of a portrait was. Yeah, there's always something a little funny about the mouth.
When you would always say to me too, right? You'd be like, I'd be like, I don't know, something's slightly off, and you would be like, if they wanted a photograph, they would print a photograph. Like, just you gotta.
Well, that's
have your
another thing
style
too,
down.
man. With the painting too, is everybody wants it to be like the photo that they sent you, and you can just be like,
Yeah.
okay, just go to the Photoshop and have it printed on canvas. You can do that now. We have that technology. Don't take my hand out of the art too, right? So that happens a
I
lot
think
also.
part of it, people really fall in love with the idea of having something handmade, like, because historically paintings have always been for the upper 1%. It's been the royalty, it's been the wealthy families and things like that. And now for the first time, like, art and paintings, handcrafted things are accessible to the middle class and to the lower class. And so people are kind of, even if they do get a photorealistic image, if they can afford it, it's this touching of this idea of wealth and this idea of like having something that's a luxury item that like they own. And so I think people kind of I've encountered that a little bit, where people are just obsessed with this idea of having a luxury item that normally would only be reserved for the wealthiest people.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I would love to have one, actual painting of myself, but my ego is not that big. I can go that way. I can take that.
I've done a
avenue.
few self-portraits before. You got to try it. It teaches you a lot about yourself.
Yeah,
all I want, Rogerio, now is on our shows for get rid of the digital background. I want a self-portrait of yourself hanging behind you. You look like
Smoking
that's-
jacket, right? Pipe.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Some pheasants in there
It's a
hunting
radical
dogs.
practice of self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
thought Rogerio. I thought you were the Wolfman in Deadball, Rogerio. I thought that was you. I thought that was yourself.
No, you're right. It is me. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
me. I put myself in every comic I draw because I love being the bad guy there, because the bad guys
That's
they are respected, which I'm not. So I have to get that kind of response from somewhere.
Oh no.
Oh man, you're being too hard on yourself.
Yeah. I'm self-deprecating all the time. It's all right. I'm used to it. But addressing that question to McManus here, like, how did you get into this kind of mixing, paintings, photographs, and those softwares that you're using? How did that come about?
Well, first of all, I was born. No, none of my paintings have photographs in them. My paintings are based on photographs, but all of my paintings, everything you see, was placed by me using a stylus onto a surface. There's no tracing going on here. There's no copying or pasting. Well, there is a little tracing. If you scroll up a little bit, that shirt that woman is wearing, yeah, getting that text right was a bit of a bear, and I had to cheat a little bit there. But everything else is the original photograph that I'm working from is not really a photograph; it's a collage. I take lots and lots of pictures, and I cut them to shreds using. I don't use Photoshop, by the way, but I cut them to shreds and I put them together until I see something that something about it that spoke to me, and then I start painting on it. And that from that point on, the picture is just my reference picture, like a dog, like someone sending you a dog picture, Leah. It's just my reference. I look back at it every once in a while, going, where's the door handle on this? But the door has to be painted by myself. So, but where did I start? I was at the computer revolution when it started. I'm that old. So I have an Apple II in my attic. I started playing on an Apple II and learning how to program and making games on it, which meant having to work in 8-bit graphics. And through various sundry means, I became a specialist in digital. So I've worked for Linotype. I've worked for Hell Corporation. I worked for Polaroid. That was the last place I worked, was Polaroid. And we did high-end scanners. And there's a lot of retouching, especially when you're talking to people who have like 65 millimeter prints that they want scanned at really high resolutions. You know, things like dust becomes horrifying, and you have to learn how to get rid of all of that. And so that's where the whole thing came from. And I've been an artist all my entire life. I'd be doing comic books and drawings, comic strips. And so that's where it all came from. You know, that, and when I was in college, I took photography. And it was only in the last couple of years when I realized it was time for me to retire that I started thinking about, what do I want to do next? And I didn't want much, but the new hot thing in the world at that point was the iPad and the Apple Pencil. And that's where this comes up. Oops. And I dropped the iPad and it's broken. My career is ruined. I hope you guys are happy. But that's where it all came from. There was one thing I never understood when I was in the business world, and that is that the 3D color space is a three-dimensional thing. And I wanted to get a handle on that more, and I figured, what better thing to do? If George Bush can paint, I can learn 3D color theory. And that's where this stuff started coming out of. And after about a year and a half of working with the software, I noticed that all of my subjects were wearing masks, that they all had COVID masks on, and that I had accidentally created a collection of something that I think means something. I'm not sure what it means, but I think it means something, at least as a record of what happened. So that's why everyone is wearing their quarantine masks. And now that's going away. So I'm now off onto something else, which may or may not work. Who knows?
Man,
that's
those bricks would have killed my ADD, brother, on that painting.
That's what I'm thinking. Those bricks look so hard.
No. I confess to using software, and my software has a trick. So it's hard. Yeah, the bricks probably took, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours to do, but it's mostly just drawing the lines and making them straight.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah. But if you zoom in on any of my pictures, none of my lines are straight. I make sure that none of my lines are straight, because nothing is straight in the world.
That's true. That's a true observation. Yeah, I can go full screen here. I don't know if that.
I mean, I don't want to zoom in and point out stuff. But
that edge along her hair never blended in properly. Yeah, we know about that. I know about that.
No, this looks amazing. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Right. This is based on a Michelle Obama quote. It's called "For Every Open Door," and I was very proud of it when I did it, and I got interviewed for a local paper about it, and they went, "That's Paperback Booksmith on the inside." And I went, "Yeah, it is. Yeah." She goes, "That's not the front of Paperback Booksmith. That's the Chinese restaurant 2 blocks down the road." And I went, "Oh God, yes, it is. You're right. They have it's because they had a bigger window, and I wanted the reflection, and I did Paperback Booksmith. It's very cramped in the front window, and I wanted more. And so I said, well, I'll steal the Chinese restaurant window, but I'll put the bookstore behind it. And I got called out for it.
That's hilarious.
So just like Leah could show clients
I
what
quit.
they look like post-plastic surgery, you could show what stores would look like if they were to rent out the space down the street. So this might be a good angle here for you. So you can,
The bookstore, like, hey, this looks pretty good. Yeah, let's do
yeah,
this.
we should get the Chinese restaurant out and put your books down there. So let's move you
And,
over.
and that's Snow Image. That's the house across the street from me. I don't know
soon,
why.
they'll be here. Yeah, it's gonna be snowing soon.
I don't know why they have that light on, but they always have that light on. So yeah, these are all people like that father with his kid. That was the weekend when we were all going crazy for toilet paper. By the way,
man.
that father with his kid and the shopping cart. Yeah, that's my self-portrait. I said, no, zoom in on one of the rear view mirrors of the car, and I painted myself in. There they are. See right there on the right. Yeah, right in there. Yeah, that's me and my wife standing there. That's my self-portrait.
That's so clever.
Yeah, this was breaking my rules because I try not to paint children because of the way I photograph, but I could not paint that little girl's face. She's just so pissed off at Dad. I love her.
Well, the other thing is they didn't get any toilet paper. I mean,
no,
good.
they were just. Yeah. Well, they got the Poland Springs water.
Yeah,
they got a box of water.
How talented are you kids with a banana peel? You're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, a lot of junk food and.
That's where I go. That's where my mind goes.
That piece is called Red's Day Off, and Red isn't the guy in the picture. This is one of my jokes. I make jokes all the time. Red's Day Off refers to the fact that in that picture, Red is doing an awful lot of work. And I don't know who the guy is, but apparently everyone thinks it's Red. So yeah, I throw my pictures are full of puns and jokes and double entendres. Awesome. You know, it keeps me sane.
I didn't even have to read your bio too, or like your artist statement, but what I picked up on is like, this is a lot of there's a lot of Edward Hopper in here. I got that right off the jump. Yep. So there's to me it was always that isolation theme, right? But I mean, you do have some more figures in your work than he does. But I picked up on a lot of Edward Hopper. So, was that one of your intentions? Was he an influence for you too in some of the works, or is that just a happy coincidence?
Yeah, happy coincidence. But Edward Hopper and I can't think of his name. The guy who did the Arrow shirt ads in the 50s and 60s. I can't remember his name right now. But yeah, this hyper isolation feeling. But it's just me taking pictures of people and deciding, that could be used in something. You know, this one here was just like, none of those green beans even exist. They're not there. You can't eat
That's
those.
What? Yeah. We're talking about the bricks. That looks, I don't know, Joel. Yeah, that might take the
green beans. At least you could be a little bit more abstract with your stroke when you're doing that too, right? So a little bit more, but it's like drawing hair. You know, it can be tedious too after time, depending on what you're doing. Yeah.
So is that kind of one of your specialties in your pieces? Is that like intense amount of detail because I saw in your bricks you have an intense amount of bricks, and then here you have an intense amount of vegetables offered. Like, is that your bread and butter when you're painting, is to do those kinds of crazy minute details?
It's not crazy minute details. It's a thing I do where I put myself into a mental state and let my hands just do it. You know how it is. You know how you get into a zone, Leah, and then you look up and you go, "Who painted this wall?" And it's that.
And why?
Now, why did I do this? But it's not. I'm not aiming for intense detail. I'm aiming for the illusion of intense detail without doing as little work as possible. But it takes time. I mean, like a given, I don't know how long it takes Leah to do a piece, but one of these takes anywhere between 20 and 45 hours to do. You know, that there is a lot going on, and it's a way to get lost. But yeah, lots of details. I'm feeling, what was it? Someone said it to me the other day, and it was like, oh my God, is that what I am? I'm a 21st century neorealist. It's like, wow, that's almost as good as calling me a fine artist.
Yeah. It's always difficult when people try to put you and say, oh, well, what type of art do you do? Well, it's a little bit of everything. It's kind of hard sometimes to figure out what it is. You tell me. So if somebody can define you, that's your makes that job easier for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The easy term is digital painter. But
there you go.
But anyone can do digital painting. This, when it finally started to formulate, it was like, oh, gee, this actually looks like I have a cohesive style. You know,
it really does. Yeah, it really does.
Well, yeah, from growing up and really being into comic books and knowing that, this is Steve Ditko. I know that. You don't have to tell me that's Steve Ditko. That's Jack Kirby. Easy enough to determine. And all that, and then suddenly realizing, hey, this is all cohesive. It's in one piece. It's not a mess. So then I went off and I found my not an agent, who apparently is listening in to us, Leah. So behave yourself.
I know.
Yeah, she's around. Yeah, she was commenting on some stuff. So I didn't get a chance to put her comment in.
It's not like someone's supposed to be at her son's wedding and be drunk by this point.
We might be making her get drunk.
Yes, I hope so. But yeah, when I realized, gee, there's an awful lot of pictures here that, I don't know, would some magazine be interested? A lot of pictures of people wearing COVID masks. Find an artist rep and see what they say. And
it's very topical,
hey, listen,
right?
You got to reach out to the Times or something like that. They could use it for a magazine cover.
Yeah.
Well, artists always painted the world they're in, right? That was historically what happened, right? And maybe it's not necessarily something that resonates with somebody as well as it will 50, 100 years from now. That's plausible, right? So
that's what I think is going to happen. 100 years from now, people are going to discover me, and I'm going to be on top of the world, man.
You'll be bloated. You'll be so rich.
Oh!
Your estate will be rich, at least.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful, but
that's awesome.
I don't care. I have to do it. The real thing is it has become an obsessive compulsive thing. If I do not spend 2 hours a night in my studio working, then I feel terrible. And this is the first time in my life that advice actually has taken hold. It was said to me when, oh, you want to be a writer? Write every day. It's like, okay, I could do that. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't. But this I was able to do every day. I am able to do it every day. I have to do it every day. Somebody stop me, please. Help me. This is a cry for help.
I think to Leah's point though earlier, like the pandemic brought a lot of the creatives in the world, that might have not been doing it. That's how we created Livid. That's, what got me back into drawing. That's what got me into writing, like more time. And like, I just remember sitting there saying, if I'm not going to do it now when I can't do anything, like when am I ever going to do this? So yeah, like it's that passion, like I need to do it. And we talk about that on the show all the time, right? It's like, if I don't write every day, if I don't write something, I sit there and I look over at my laptop when I'm sitting there watching a movie with my wife, and I'm like, I should be writing right now. It's just that drive. So I hear you 100% on that.
I wish I could tell you how to turn it on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, McManus.
No, Leah. No, Leah.
I was telling a friend of mine the other day, we were talking about how terrible COVID was, and just how exhausted America is, how exhausted the world is with like all the shit that's going on. But I was telling him, like, you got to look at history, man. Every single time something terrible happens, so we have like the Black Plague, then we have the Renaissance, we had World War II, and then we had the Industrial like every single time something terrible hits humanity, the artists hunkered down and then they start thinking of all these amazing things, and then they just bring forth this entire new like world of art and this new revolution. And so I've been so excited, and I'm already like, you're already starting to see it. Artists are releasing all these beautiful albums, Broadway musicals, like these songs, these paintings, these series, these new lines of philosophy are coming out, because when you force artists to sit and just stew and like just not talk to anyone, like our reaction is going to be to create, because that's how we control our world. That's how we put out like more control over what our experience is. And so it's been so incredible to see all these amazing artists in all the different genres kind of produce their reactions to the shittiness of COVID. I mean, it's definitely, it's not to overlook how bad COVID has been and how many
Right.
lives have been lost, but it's been so encouraging to see how the art world specifically has been reacting to it, and how we are quite literally fighting back against like the terrible feelings of COVID by producing all these amazing and brand new things that would not have come about if we had not been forced to sit and stew for a year.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Leah, I got another question for you. It's like, first of all, I have to tell you, like your work is amazing. You know, like your
Thank you.
skills are something that you rarely see someone at your age. I don't know. I'm not
I
going to
appreciate
ask
that. Thank you.
I'm not going to ask how old you are, but like just looking.
I'm
looking at
Roger is
22.
the old guy. Roger is the old guy in
22?
the room. So yeah.
22. Oh my God! No, really.
I'm almost
I have-
23. Listen, 23 in February. We're
Oh,
getting there.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, okay. It's okay. You're nearly as old as I am.
I have
Really?
met
I thought you were
guys
like 3 years
older
older
than
than
that.
me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Like I was born earlier. You know, I'm still, like I'm still young at heart, but not outside, unfortunately. I have a daughter. She's 22 in a month. Yeah, in a month. Yeah, next month. No, this
Should probably
month.
figure
We're
that
in
one out.
October now. This month. All right. Yes, she's 22. She draws. She's good, but she doesn't really. She's not into it because she doesn't put time into her craft. But you actually, just by looking to what you have done, you have worked a lot. You have studied a lot, and you were able to correct mistakes that some people take 20 years, to get at the stage you are now, which is fantastic. This is very encouraging because, like, nobody knows what you could do from here, And I'm talking about future now. Like, you're going to get bored because art is about getting bored, and it's about to change things, and it's about to create and stay relevant, not to get likes, but to be relevant to yourself. It's like a therapy that only works if you know that you're getting better, and I don't see how it can get any better. Actually, I think there's just one thing that could be a challenge for you, which is, have you ever thought of doing sequential art as comics or storyboarding and use your talent and just to keep yourself not motivated? I hate the expression motivation, but keep yourself sharp, sharp and hunger for what's next. Have you ever thought about that, or it's just me being an old guy trying to know how your mind works?
No, you make very, very good points that I've been wrestling with a lot lately. So for the majority of my life, I've just been doing commission work, or I've been doing schoolwork. I just graduated from college in May. And so any work that I've ever produced has been to please a professor, has been to please a high school teacher, or has been to please a client. And so I need to pay the bills. That's the priority. First of all, I need to support myself financially and refute this idea of starving artists. But my goal in life, my next step is to discover what my own artistic voice is, because I've never really taken the time to paint my own things. Like I have no clue what my narrative is. I have no clue what my style is. I have no clue what a painting is going to look like, where when you look at it, you say, oh, that's a Leah. Like I have no idea what that's going to look like. But I'm so terrified, honestly, like to be frank, I'm so terrified of not supporting myself financially that I've never given myself permission to just create for myself, which I know is a big no-no. Like I should probably be doing that, and I will eventually. I want to explore residencies, but it's just a process, I think, of building up my confidence enough to know that if I take time off to work on my own voice, I'm not going to be becoming a starving artist kind of thing. And to your point about the sequential art, so I tried that with children's books. I did a children's book, and I spent over 300 hours on it, and I hated it by the end of it. But I'm super happy it's done. You know, it was an incredible challenge, because when you draw the same character 15 different times and it has to look the same way it did on page 1 as it does on page 15, oh my sweet baby Jesus, it is so difficult to do. I completely underestimated it. But I want to do it again because it was so difficult, which is nice. Because like I don't, for lack of better terms, very few things in the art world are difficult as far as realism for me. Abstraction, don't understand it, can't speak the language, don't get it. But sequential art really pushes you to be keeping in mind the overall essence of your character and really stay true to who you developed in the first place, which I've never had to do before. So I'd love to do more of it, honestly. It's just finding those gigs and trying to balance learning new things with bringing in money at the same time. And I'm still figuring that one out for sure.
Yeah, that's.
So if you guys have any advice, I would love advice.
I would ask these two. I can't do it's backwards.
Yeah, you know, at the end, before you're leaving, I think I'm gonna give you some tips, because like
I would really welcome them.
Just because you're young, you know, and I've learned one thing or two about it, and I'd say McManus here, who's like kind of reinventing himself, could also, you know, contribute to that, because he's the guy who has some experience, you know, behind him. Maybe is somebody that I could also, you know, enrich myself, you know, with his experience. And what would be your take on that, Lord McManus?
I have a 150-page graphic novel called Hatchet Kelly, famous long ago, that has been rejected by some of the finest publishing houses in the country. I also have a second one that never really got a name, that ran for 70 more pages before I burnt out and couldn't do it anymore. And then I have 5 or 6 scripts of stuff that I wanted to do. I really tried, but nobody wanted. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, nobody wanted anything that was done completely in digital. Nobody wanted it. And if I were to go to revisit it now, society has changed. The characters are very, very wrong for the 21st century. Let's put it that way. But boy, yeah, it was fun to do. It was fun because the eventual goal was actually, and I actually did it, was to print them out, you know, large board size, and send them off to publishers, and then they all came back. I also did a comic strip for about a year on Salon Magazine. They had a sort of a communications subreddit board before Facebook type of thing. And I did that. That was a bi-weekly comic strip called Bats. It was all cut and paste. It was loads of fun because I could be sarcastic and not worry about my art. You know? So yeah, I've tried doing it. You know, I can't wait to see whether Joel succeeds, right? Joel and John, I mean. You know?
Well, you can self-publish now, so it's easy, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say now, JJ, you could probably get something in the indie comic world. You know, all of those things are so easy now, to your point, than it was 10, 20 years ago. I mean, you could do a 20-book print run now. You don't need to make 20,000 copies like you had to back in those days. And that was kind of like John and I's deal, is like, well, hell, man, we'll just do it. And worst case scenarios, we'll have this book on our shelf that we can show our grandkids some year that we made this book. You know, that was kind of the point. You know, what the hell? Like, might as well just do it. So yeah, maybe this is the time. You were just ahead. Like we were saying earlier, you're just you're creating art for people that weren't born yet. So maybe you're just ahead of your curve. So that happens too. So maybe
I was just
this
about
is
to
your
say
time.
that ahead of the time, right? Like you mentioned, no one wanted something that was done 100% digital. Like
Yeah.
that's
That's
not
all
the
we do.
case these days.
That's all we do.
That's almost everybody these days, you know.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's like I thought that, and then I go, do I really have the right nowadays to publish a book about a sexy female Asian detective? And it's like, oh God,
Yes, you do. That
oh
would be
my
huge.
God,
Put it
am I
on
gonna get?
That
Kickstarter,
would
yeah.
be huge.
Oh
my
Go to
God,
I wonder
Kickstarter
how
and look
much
at the
trouble I
top.
could get
Look at
into.
the top. Look at the
Yeah.
top
You
like
do a nude
100
variant,
comics.
JJ.
Yeah.
You do a nude variant cover of that, and you'd make $30,000. I guarantee it. I swear to God, it's crazy. We don't know why, but it's that way in the indie comic world. It's bizarre. So yeah.
The impetus that made me start writing it in the first place was just this line that came into my head. Hatcheck Kelly has a dress that slid up to here. That was it. That was the only line I had. And I went, okay, I can write a story against that.
A
And
strong female lead is a huge thing right now. We were at Comic-Con like 2 weeks ago, and that was like majority of what you saw people going for and gravitating towards was strong female lead characters. Like that's a big market right now that needs to be filled.
it is. And I think it should be explored, but not by an old white guy.
Oh, that could be your angle, though. That could be your angle. You can just get a persona, like just get a persona. No, I'm 24 and I'm, whatever.
Yeah.
Pick your identity and just have a, maybe you got a pen name or something. I don't know, like some secret alter ego, and then come to find out, like just get, that could be awesome. Could be an angle.
Right.
I like it.
It could also get me. Also get me home. I live in Boston, man.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
No. It was a good idea, but that idea has passed. And the same with my COVID pictures. 100 years from now, my estate can go, and here's the lost story. It's like, great, fine. I won't have to listen to people go, wow, what a pig he was. Because, I had a sexy female detective. Of course she had a sexy sidekick, and then I brought a sexy 12-year-old into it. And it's like, no, this is never going to see the light of day. This was an idea once. It's not an idea anymore.
But guys, that sounds a bit embarrassing. But
Yeah.
no, for me, I've been begging those guys to write a story with a hot female character.
Yeah,
because I want to show off. I want to show off my skills because I know how to draw women, and I'm very good at it. I know that doesn't mean anything because I haven't seen it, but I'm begging those guys there, create a female character to be the lead, and she has to wear tights and something like that. And I don't like superheroes, but I want to show off as an artist because I want to prove myself to the world that I can do it. That's my ego speaking again, which is also terrifying because I may be completely on the wrong side of the road now. But like if those guys write a story like that, I'm into it. I don't really care if it gets funded because it's something that I want to do, and maybe this is something that you want to do, and what happens? Like you can succeed at it. You can get a following. You can get some hardcore guys that is going to help you to promote it, and you can sell your thing. You don't have to aim too high. Aim to use your time to do it, and sell to those people who can who can approve of your work, or better than that, who can love what you're doing, because there is consumers for everything. It doesn't matter what you create, because there are people there that can really identify themselves to the type of thing that you are doing, or the type of thing you think it would be good for you to do, because you put your own energy into it, you believe in your work, and people know when something is for real. and they can strip away what is for real and what is just for selling books, because you put your energy into it. And I'm a strong believer that we can put our energy into things and make those things resonate to like-minded people.
Yeah, I would love to go back and do a comic strip again. I'd love to bring back Bats. That was fun to do, because it was just writing dialogue for the most part, because the conversation was between two bats hanging from a ceiling. That was the whole strip. Every week was the same two bats, just different expressions, and that's easy to do. But then it was just writing the dialogue, and that's the part I think I enjoyed the most, was sitting down and writing for hours and letting the characters talk in my head, and then figuring out how the hell is all of this going to fit on the page. And I mean the arc page, as opposed to, it's like, she can't talk for 100 words. She's in a panel this big. You've got to get this down, boy. That was fun, because it's a puzzle getting it in. But hell, you got the story. I can make the voices right, talk in my head. I have many people living in my head. Again, this is a call for help.
I think we all do. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of Leah's time. She only had about an hour tonight, so let's give Leah some few words here, and then JJ can stay on too. So that's fine. We can keep.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Where did those on the ad for Livid, there were these figure paintings? They look like Bernini sculptures. Will you talk more about that? Because it didn't seem like your muralist style.
Are you talking about they're like pen drawings, or they're kind of black and off-white? Yeah. Those are some of my favorite pieces that I've done so far. So I had the opportunity to study. Yeah, those are great. So studied abroad in Florence, Italy for about 6 months, and had the opportunity while I was there to take a sketchbook class. And in the sketchbook class, I kid you not, the class every single day was to visit a different museum in Florence and draw the statues and the artworks that we saw in the museums, like in person. It was incredible. It was insane. And so I have a whole sketchbook filled with all these drawings of master works. And at the end of the semester, if you go to my Leah's gallery, you should see it, the personal gallery.
Oh, cool. I was just looking there. Perfect.
And so the assignment at the end of the class was to do a series of works that kind of reflected our time in Florence. And so something I noticed from Florence was there was a lot of street art filling like everywhere you saw were street artists and spray paint artists and things like that. And it was really crazy to me that in the same place where there's like an Apple store, Michelangelo studied there, or like Botticelli got his dinner at the same building that has a graffiti artist's work on it. And so Florence did this amazing job of combining both the old and the new together in a really beautiful way that preserves history, but still feels modern. And so I did this series, these 4 drawings kind of commenting on that. And so in the drawings, you see these statues, right? There's these legit, very heavy, very intense Renaissance sculptures by Botticelli and Verrocchio and all of these masters. But there's also these little stick figures. And those stick figures are done by the street artist Exit Enter. And so he paints these little stick figures all over Florence. And I loved him. I was obsessed with him. Almost got him tattooed on my body. And so I was like, well, how can I combine these two? And so you stick the little stick figures doing their little funky thing with the balloons in with the same statue where Hercules is strangling a centaur. And so it kind of combines the old and the new art, the old and the new Renaissance together. And it also, it just kind of pokes fun at the seriousness of these sculptures that are super intense and heavy and terrifying. And I had such a blast with these pieces. They were all free-handed, and my professor was amazing, giving me feedback on how to get the proportions right and things like that. And then transporting these things, though, was hell. I almost left them on a train. I had them rolled up in one of those little tubes where you carry them, and because I finished them and was still in Europe for 2 months. And so I was carrying them around and almost lost them a few times and had a few panic attacks about them, and then brought them home. And these pieces actually got me into the West Virginia State Gallery, which was an incredible opportunity. So these pieces kind of turned things around for me, and like were really reignited a lot of passion for art.
I love them.
Yeah, I love this
I
too.
really like those.
The juxtaposition was great. When I was putting together the ad for the show, I was like, this is cool, because I'm a big street artist fan too. So I had that Banksy feel immediately to it. I was like, that's something Banksy would do. He would totally go bomb like a sculpture or something like that. So I was wondering if that was a street artist. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to ask again. Like, did you do everything there?
Did I do what?
Everything, like from the sketch until the final art.
Yeah. This was, I mean, most of the commission work that I do, don't call me a cheater, but I trace most of it because I just don't have the time to freehand everyone's grandma. But with my personal work, I always do it freehand because it's my stuff, you know, it's my personal touch. I can spend as much time as I damn well please. So these ones it was a lot of sketching on the kitchen table late at night trying to get it done in time.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It is awesome. Really, truly great work because you know where the lights are, you know how to mark your shades, and it's beautiful, you know.
Thank you. The coolest thing was I lived about 6 minutes away from these statues. So they're in a little piazza called Piazza della Signoria, which was 6 minutes away from my apartment. So I walked past them every single day to class. So I'd like stare at them all the time. It was so cool. And just like really geeked out about it. And so it was fun to be able to bring that piece of that home. So now I can like immortalize it forever. I don't want to do anything else because I don't think I'll ever be able to top those ones. They're just so cool.
Oh, the killer. It's awesome stuff. How big are those, Leah? How big is that work when they're rolled out?
Oh, they're not that big. They're about 12 inches by 18 inches, maybe. They're not super big because I had to transport them back home on a plane.
Sure. Yeah, right.
Those are beautiful, beautiful.
They are striking. They're just really, really like those.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And you know, I love the rest of your art. And then I saw that and I went, wait a minute, what the heck is she hiding here? Because I
always hope that some client is going to ask me to do some fun things like that so I can have a little bit more fun, but I guess I kind of have to give myself the freedom to do that a little bit more.
Maybe that's the direction you were looking for. That could be your jam, right? It's like mixing classical with contemporary. That could be something, right?
I'm probably just going to have to wait till we move out of my parents' house, though. My parents are both pastors, and so it's like very awkward when I draw naked people and then my pastor parents come in to see what I'm working on because it's just like, hi, your daughter's drawing a penis. I'm sorry. So I kept my own apartment.
It could have been worse. It could have been an atheist. It could have been a lot worse for them.
This is fair. This is very fair.
That's awesome.
All right.
Well,
to be fair, when I first met Leah in the workshop, one of the first things I heard from her was like, "Oh, I painted an outhouse."
I did.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful outhouse. But then then it's like, oh, I see your style. It's really good. I like it. It's nice acrylic style. And then these pen and ink films are, wait, what? Yeah. So yeah,
it's a very diverse range. You never know what people are going to give you. The same customer who had me paint an outhouse also had me paint his cancer mask, his radiation mask. So you just really don't know what products you're going to get.
Interesting.
It's crazy. He has a very morbid sense of humor, and I appreciate him for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Leah, we know you got to. Leah's got to get going, so that's okay. But I just want to give her the opportunity for an out. So if you want to.
Yeah. Before Leah go, I just want to tell her that that's commonplace what I'm going to say now, but you have to keep on doing what you're doing. I recently just saw you on Instagram, and you're doing something really, really right. You put a face on your works. This is something that you have to keep doing. Let people know who you are, connect your works to your personality, keep doing it, keep on talking to other artists, believe in yourself. We struggle with, self-confidence and those kind of things, and that's all right, not to worry about. Keep doing it. you're going to succeed. I'm pretty sure about it. Like in 2, 3, I don't know, maybe 5 years time, you're going to be on the other tier up there because you got the talent, you got the passion, and just keep doing it. Which is, I don't think, is a burden for you.
No, it's definitely not. I really appreciate
Yeah,
that. Thank you guys.
yeah.
Thank you guys so much for
Sure.
having me. If you ever need another guest from West Virginia, please hit me up. I really, really enjoyed
Awesome.
this.
I love West Virginia. I love West Virginia. Yeah, and we'll definitely we'll be in touch offline too. We might be having to do some couple projects since we can't draw everything, so we might have to bring you on board or something. So.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'd love it. I'm looking forward to it. It's
Cool.
great to see you, McManus.
Good to
Yeah.
see you, Seaman.
Thanks, Leah.
See
We
you guys
appreciate your
later.
time
Bye.
tonight. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Boom, just like that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, she does some great work, man. That stuff's for
She does.
22. I
She
was like a
does.
moron at that age. I don't know, man.
Oh,
22,
when,
man.
when I was 22, oh god, nah. She has a portfolio of a 40-year-old.
Yeah,
So
prolific
she's
amount of work.
done
Prolific.
So much, yeah.
Man, when I was 22, I had fake racing stripes on the side of my car. I was an idiot, you know.
When I was
Well,
22, I was building a radio station.
Hey.
That,
Nice.
WUMB, University of Massachusetts, Boston, still on
There
the
you go.
air today. But the reason I did it is because that was as high tech as anything was. It was, 68, 69. But
Wow.
things didn't get much higher tech than that until someone said, "This is a TTY. It has BASIC on it." And I went, It has what?
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to talk about, JJ, I think you brought it up a little earlier, was just you mentioned doing like strips and comics and things in your past. So tell us a little bit about like how do you feel that may have influenced like your art today? Did you pull anything from that era that you feel emulates, or is that just something different, or what was that like for you during those times with the comics in your life early on?
It's all a piece. It's if I look at what I'm doing now is people in gestures, people in poses. And that's what I was doing in the sequential art when I was doing Hat Check. There was a period of time that I thought I was Steven Spielberg until it turns out Steven Spielberg is Steven Spielberg and I'm not. But so I did do a lot of student films because of what I studied in college, and storyboarding was just part of it. But prior to that, it was collecting comic books as a kid, just buying everything that I ever saw. And, God, it always seemed like this would be exciting to go to New York and do this. But
Right.
painting the Marvel way, who doesn't own a copy of that book?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, both
Yeah.
for my
Exactly.
kids. Now my kids do too. It's
That's what made me
cool.
want to do comics when I was a kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I went to my dad's house last summer and I was like, "You have all my old comics still, right?" And he's like, "Yes." And this big blue treasure chest. And I open them up. I'm looking at them with my son, and I found that, and I was like, "Buddy, look at this. This is what made me want to draw. This is what made me want to do comics." And I start flipping through, and like there was like I might have like an updated version, I don't know, but like there was like tracing pages, like how to draw the figures and all this and that. And I was showing, he saw one of my drawings of the Hulk, and he's like, that's not good. And I was like, I was your age, you little punk. Like, let's see you draw. Like, but yeah.
When I was a wee lad, my father would bring me home comic books every Thursday night because he got paid on Thursday. And he would bring me Funny Animal comics. And, okay, I'd eat them because I was a child. They were Funny Animal. Little did I know at the time, he was introducing me to Karl Barks because he would bring me Uncle Scrooge comics. And I'd go, yeah, these are always good. Or Mickey Mouse Detective drawn by Karl Barks. This is not a regular comic book. This is something else. And God, I read those so many times. The pages fell out. They got destroyed. But that led me into buying comics as a kid.
What were some of the titles that you pursued when you could freely go purchase your own? What were some of the things you were looking at on the shelf back then?
Do you want me to make you hurt?
Yeah, let's do it. Bring the pain. Bring the pain.
I bought Fantastic Four #1 for 10 cents at the corner store.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What drove it? Let me stop there. What was it about that made you want to get that? What as that can you recall? Like, was it the cover? Was it something
cover.
like okay, all right,
The cover.
Yeah. Take us through that experience, because like a lot of people, obviously, we buy them now on the secondary market for thousands of dollars. But I want to know what that experience was like for a young guy, a child, going to a shop like that and buying something like that.
Well, prior to that, the comic rack at the store just had Superman DC. So I was buying Superman and Batman, Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane. I was buying all that, and occasionally Charlton, because I have no respect for myself. And that was it. I had my allowance, and I'd buy comic books every week. And then I vividly remember going down, and here's all the Superman, Batman, blah blah blah, and there's this white cover with this thing coming out of the ground, and the Fantastic Four flying around it. Now, first time ever, blah blah blah, and snatched that thing up.
Wow.
Fast it, because prior to that, Marvel had been publishing some stuff, Amazing Fantasy. They had a few titles, and that but they were always the short story anthology type of thing.
Tales of Suspense, like those titles.
Yeah. There was. They came out with one called Amazing Adult Fantasy. The only word I saw was adult. And you know what? It wasn't. There was no parts that were adult. But yeah, I saw that first Fantastic Four, and just snatched it up. And then a couple of months, every few months, they came out with a new title, Hulk #1. I don't know what happened to Hulk #1. It's up in the attic somewhere.
Oh man!
Wow, really? Gotta get your attic, buddy.
Wow.
They're all good. They've all been sold. Hulk wasn't sold because Hulk wasn't found, but we sold everything. All right. Okay. So I should say the big one to make you really hate, Amazing Fantasy 15.
Nice. There you go.
I sold it to $17,000.
It's not bad. It was. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
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 But,
was that recent? When was that sale?
This was about 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So you had it from the 60s to that point in time, right? You were able to hold. Yeah, that's awesome, because mom and dad didn't break into your room and throw those things in the trash, and all those stories of burn them when you were kids. You hear all those stories too, right? Like,
this is a very big house, and it has a very big attic, and it has an eave area, and they were all just no plastic bags or anything. They were just in boxes.
Yeah.
And so anybody from the Silver Age, I had #1.
That's amazing.
It just happened.
You just mentioned Fantastic Four, and I'm like, I feel like these guys think I just have like everything at my disposal. We were talking about Star Wars a couple shows ago. I brought out my kid's toy lightsaber that was sitting right next to me. But like you mentioned, I had this sitting on my shelf. This is my oldest Fantastic Four, which is nothing even close to #1. This is from like 1980 something. But I was looking through my comics just like 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, what's this one? But yeah, I used to love the Fantastic Four. That makes me jealous that you had.
I am so angry that the Fantastic Four isn't part of the new Marvel universe in some way, that they've just been sitting on that IP, and they're my favorites.
Oh, they're coming.
Well, they're coming. Yeah.
Been a lot of rumors.
Yeah, but it's like that's what really brought me in the first place, is like Stanley and Marvel Comics and starting to do something weird. That I just absolutely fell in love with their comics, that people actually had emotions, that it wasn't Superman grows a horde. Whoa, what will Lois say?
So there was that division early on too then. So between the Marvel and the DC, you never really gravitated towards DC, right? It was always like, let's go
I never turned my back on Superman and Batman, but Marvel was defining what everything was. Marvel defined the music that everyone had to dance to. We're still living through that. This is why the indie scene is here. Yeah. Because Marvel said, hey, I have an idea. Let's not talk down to people for a change. Let's make their 10 cents, their 12 cents be worth something.
Yeah. Now, were these books just in spinner racks at a store, or was this like a newsprint publication type of shop? Or I'm thinking of the experience.
It was a Crown Variety store.
Okay.
They had magazines. Argosy. I always love Argosy covers. There is another influence in my art. It's like men's magazines. But yeah, that Argosy, and they would have, and they had a small rack of comic books, and I was every variety store in the neighborhood knew me. It's like, here comes that kid with the wad of ones. He's just going to walk out with all our comic books.
That's awesome. Did you do anything with sports cards too, or just was comics? It was like you weren't into baseball cards or anything? Yeah.
I had one summer of sports cards, and it just didn't do anything for me.
Gotcha.
By the way, have you heard Topps is gone?
Yes, we did. I don't know if John heard that, but they lost their licensing deal with the MLB.
Yeah.
It's going to be Fanatics picked them up, which is
that's right,
owned by the MLB Players Association. So really, a odd thing is John and I are massive baseball fans outside of comics and everything. Like, we both played, and I'm a tremendously huge Red Sox fan. Love them or hate them, or whatever they're doing, good or bad. I've been following them since '86 when the whole Bill Buckner thing went down, and yeah, I usually have the game on my stream while I'm doing these shows just to see what the hell's going on. So, but yeah, it was funny that John and I had that same connection too. It was just baseball stuff. So that's why we go up with dead ball. But we had to get a Brazilian guy who doesn't know baseball to draw the dead ball story, which is just, that's the way we roll, right? So why wouldn't we? So yeah,
I never really thought of that. I know. I never thought of that when I sent Rogerio the script, like. Freaking, baseball isn't a popular thing there, right? Like, so I'm sitting there saying, the batter steps to the batter's box, he, gets a double and sliding into second base, and Rogerio's probably looking at it like, what the hell is this saying to me right now? Like, I don't know.
Actually, I'm very bad at most sports. Like, I don't really understand soccer, for instance. Because I've never been a sporty guy, apart from martial arts. I have no talent for anything with a ball in it. And but I've seen some movies. You had baseball as the main theme, and I could use that. And there's Google now. It's all right. Like, I know what is a home run. I know what's the positions and everything. And I don't have to know everything about it. I just have to get the guys positioning well, looking good, and kind of portraying them accurately. Because I really don't understand how the game works, but I know how to make them look good. That's all that matters to me. But JJ, I got another question for you. Like, I have a guy with loads of questions because I'm very curious.
Well, let me tell you one joke. Then you can ask your question. I said I didn't want to collect baseball cards. It seemed like it's like, oh, these are baseball heroes. It's like, yeah, I can get a Ted Williams card. It's like, yeah, all right, give me the thing. And I open up. It's like, well, where's the Ted Williams card? It's like, you got to buy more.
Yeah.
Edit. Oh, that's stupid. I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, here, look at this. What's that? These are called magic cards. It's like, what? So I didn't collect baseball cards, but then magic got me. One way or another, they were going to hold me down and shoot me up. I'm pretty sure. So I was just thinking that when you were talking. So what was your question, Rogerio?
Yeah, my question is, you used to do strips, which is not it's easy to draw, but it's hard to think it's hard to make people understand your strip. Like you have to be concise, and you have just so many panels to go to put your message through. And when I look at your images, I see some poetry in there because every one of them has a history for you. And when I look at them, it's like I connect instantly because those images, when you stare at them and you go through this weird times that we are living now, they say, fuck, this is something, there's some poetry in there. Like he could write about it, he could do, even a documentary about those images, but he decided just to paint it. And this is great because, like, when you look at the painting kind of reflects what you think of what you're living at that moment because you identify yourself with those images. This is very powerful. It's not the same like, all right, you write a story and I know what you want to transmit, but it's not the same thing. You chose the hardest way, which is let people think, let people judge for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, that is it exactly. That each painting is telling a story, but I'm not writing that story. And it was one of the hardest things for me to get around when I first started showing my pictures to people. Was they would look at a picture, Independence Day, which is the guy sitting on the porch on the Cape in front of the beach, and everyone loves that. And that is one of my most depressing pictures. My story, it's depressing. Everyone else's story, oh, I love that. That's what I want to do. I want to be on a porch somewhere, sipping a beer on July 4th on Cape Cod. I want that. And it's like, that's not what I was painting. And it suddenly dawned on me that what's happening is people are reading into the story. They're writing their own narrative of what's going on. And that it both inhibits me, but it's also very freeing at the same time.
Yeah, great. I love that.
I mean, because Rosario, when you see the pictures, it's like you've seen it before. That's the feeling I'm trying to get. It's like you're not seeing something brand new. It's just, oh no, I know what's going on here, and you fill in the blanks that I leave. Just like there are no straight lines. I don't explain what's going on, and people make it up on their own. So
yeah. Just to add something else to it is like as an artist, and you are more, I'd say you're older than we are, and I'm older than the other guys up there. And do you think that as the time passes, we feel things differently? Like we get a little bit more emotional, more sentimental, because we have more stuff to relate to, and every piece of work you produce has a different feeling to it, has a deeper meaning. Do you think that increases with time? Like, do you think that you are richer now emotionally than when you were 30 or 40 or even 50?
I was a jerk when I was 40. Right now, when I was 30. I was a wonderful person when I was 40 because I got married. So, yeah, I mean, experience and understanding how everything works. I mean, that does bear into it. But then you look at Leah; she's 22 years old. By the time she's my age, she's going to blow all of us out of the water if she sticks with doing art. And if she doesn't, whatever she does, it's going to be really, really interesting. I wish I was that focused when I was 22, but I wasn't. But eventually it caught up with me. Eventually, you know, something said I could express myself in this way and say things inside of me that didn't feel like I was being overbearing. And that's I think that's what got me out of doing a comic strip all the time, is because you know it was getting too restrictive of setup, elaboration, punchline. It became too restrictive, and like I said, the words at one point that's 40 words that have to fit in 3 panels. How is this supposed to work? You know, and refining that down, it becomes restrictive. Whereas what I'm doing now is it's falling into it by accident. I'm more interested in deep down inside of how wandering around inside the 3D color space affects me. And my pictures are just whatever I'm doing in that era. And people go, well, I see this as a really, really powerful symbolic thing. It's like, you do? Oh, okay. That's good. You know, it's like Joel calling me a fine artist. It's like, yes, sir, please.
Everything's good when you have fine in it.
Right.
It's finding an niche. This is my 4th career, and we'll see what goes on for it. You know, whether anything will happen with it. It's not like I'm making sales like Leah. I'm not. I'm not making sales at all. It's not my definition of success. You know, my definition of success does have to mean sales at some point, because I got to get a new computer. This thing is 12 years old.
Yeah, there's always that monetary aspect that comes around, right? It's and that's one thing we didn't really get a lot of time to talk to Leah about, but you know, in the fine art world, I mean, you can go months or years without selling anything, and that's common. And we've talked about that on this show before, and a lot of times you got to have some type of emergency fund to live on, just to pay your bills, you know. And when you don't sell the art, eventually sometimes you start to compromise your art. You say, well, you know, kitty cats sell well, so I'll start doing more kitty cats or whatever. But really, you don't want to. You want to be drawing bleeding skulls with their eyeballs kicked out and things. Like, you want to be doing some gnarly stuff. But
yeah, you have to do what you want to do.
Yeah. Or you know, somebody comes and you have a work that, you know, might be $2,000, and they say, well, I'll give you you know, 800, and you might go, well, I'll take it because I'm hungry, you know, right? So I mean, that happens too. So that's a real thing. But if you have that, you know, savings emergency fund in the arrears, you may not necessarily need to compromise as frequently if you live in sale to sale. Like, that becomes a different situation. Yeah.
Try living in Boston. It's really expensive, and I own a house and I paid property taxes, and thank God I have tenants, so that's one thing. And the other thing is Social Security. I have a small pension, and I have to. Luckily, I don't have to pay for my canvas or my pigments until the very end. I can work for as long as I want, as long as I have my iPad. And then when I'm ready to spend the money for the pigments and spend the money for the canvas, like these things behind me here, you know, I contact the printer and I say how much, and let me see if I can fit it into my budget. You know, it's a weird medium I'm working in. And
it is.
Yeah,
because I went
very,
from that.
very strange.
Yeah, I went from that analog world, even back in the late 90s. I was getting into sequential art, and I was going to go to Savannah College of Art and Design, and ended up starting a business like most morons and chase money in my 20s, like you do, right? Did that instead. But I miss the analog aspect of some of that. Where actually I'm thinking about, I finished issue 2 of I always get my hands on Yule digital, but on part 3, I might actually go back to doing that analog, just because I miss the tactile and response of
Yeah.
things. And one thing that'll happen with the digital world doing sequential is you can really get it down to the singular pixel. So I'm there sitting doing this panel, and fine detail, sitting there putting all these little 1 millimeter lines in and things, when in reality the thing's going to be this big and somebody's going to look at it for about 2.5 seconds and move on to the next thing. So whereas the analog can keep you grounded and say, well, you can't zoom in because it's only this big no matter what. So that might be something we'll think about on 3.
I have to do that to myself. If I'm working and suddenly I can see the pixels, I'm in too close.
Yeah.
And it's like, you gotta back out, man. This is that way lies madness.
Yeah.
You gotta look at the big picture.
Yeah, you can go in and in and in and in. You can just get more and more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah. It's like this is insane. And but that's the other thing is like playing with new software. I love playing with. I've always loved software. Software is so much fun. And as I said to with Jerry earlier, I don't use Photoshop. I broke the Photoshop habit. I use Affinity now, and it is terrible. Oh, it will make you curse the mother that bore you. and it's like, oh, this is just like Photoshop until it isn't. And I've been working with it now for about 1.5 years, and I'm just starting to get my feet underneath me where I don't immediately just start screaming, what the fuck is going on here? Why didn't that work? That a picture is a picture unless it hasn't been rasterized. It's like, what are you talking about, rasterized? But I'm not going to go back to Photoshop because Adobe is not going to get monthly payments out of me. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
their app sucks too. Their app sucks for mobile. It's horrible on the iPad, man.
Terrible.
It sucks. Yeah.
Get a part version. They already rich.
No, but on mobile, Rogeri on mobile, it's dog shit. Like the thing barely does anything. Yeah, it's you can't even resize. Yeah, it's on iPad. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Well, I've had because I can't work on the Beast here anymore. The Beast is when I was getting ready to come on the show, I said, all right, I'm gonna sign on to whatever the hell is SteamYard, and I'll start up a private thing, just so I can get my lights set up and so I don't look like a complete idiot. And
I look like an idiot. So that's why I'm here.
Well,
that's what I do.
But this is your show. We have to let you do this.
The first show was me with googly eyes, if that gives you any basis of comparison. So.
I had a haircut. Now I look smart. You should have seen me last week.
Oh, hey! Before I had the banner, I have cement walls behind me. It looked like I was in a bunker. So
yeah, well, I just throw art there. So I signed in, and what is it? Give me your email. Yeah. Do that. The other thing. Start up a private show. I said, absolutely. Show me the lighting, and it comes up with, are you kidding? This computer is 12 years old. Your browser sucks. And now it's like 8:15, and I'm downloading Chrome. And I went, you better come down in time and you better work. So that, now I'm on a brand new browser. And I did not lose my cool. It's like, no, this is fine. You can make SteamYard work on the iPad. I know that, but I wanted on my, but this is the thing in front of me is a 21-inch iMac.
Yeah.
He dropped the iPad earlier.
Yeah, I can't drop this.
Let's hope it's all right.
But no, this has a slightly, but also I can see you guys better than little tiny things on an. Even though my iPad is gorgeous, I love it. I want to marry it. But I forget it. No, next question. I'm not going there. Next question. Stop it. Yeah. The voices.
Yeah, when you marry an iPad, your kids will be like, okay, well, iPhone 5.
Yeah, iPad Mini. iPad Mini.
God.
iPad Mini is a nice thing. Gorilla Glass is the greatest thing. This is my third iPad, so
Yeah.
this is my third iPad. This is my first iPhone.
I had the 6 forever. I loved the 6. The 6 was great, and then I finally broke down. I got the XR, but I'm not one of these assholes that has to get the new phone every time it comes out. Like I don't.
I usually do it every 2 to 3 years. I usually update mine, but wow.
I still got the 7. The
Yeah,
Plus,
they're great. If I hadn't cracked the screen shattered. Is what happened on the 6, and it was just I couldn't see anything, so I had to get the new one. So I would have kept it going. Yeah.
5
but
years.
I waited until iPhone 8 because I didn't want to get rid of my landline.
Yeah,
Mm.
I still have a landline. I have a landline, just in case.
Not anymore.
Shit hits the
It's
fan.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
I went down
walkie-talkies,
and I
man.
took-
I'm in the woods. I come prepared.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. Speaking of the woods, I have to take a leak in
Go
a
for
second.
Yeah, go
Go
for it.
for it.
So one of the things I have too, JJ, I have over here to my left is I got the Cintiq. I don't know if you're familiar with those. I got the 24-inch HD where you draw on the monitor, and that I power that with a Mac Mini. I gotta actually update that, but yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I at first I had like I didn't really care for the iPad. I was like, well, I like this screen because it's larger, but then I started to fall in love with the flexibility, obviously, of the iPad, being able to, take it out of my porch or go up to my room with it, things like that. But so I'm very anchored with the Cintiq, but I do like the larger screen and some of the translation from. I'm using Clip Studio Pro. Is but
okay, I know that.
That's what we use. But the functionality on the larger screen is a little bit better than on the iPad, but ultimately I find myself at the end of the day just reverting back to the iPad. So I'm like, I don't care, So I do like it.
Have you used an Apple Pencil version 2 yet?
The thing I have the. Well, I got the iPad Pro, so whatever one came out this year. So I don't know if that's 1 or 2. I can't recall. Yeah. But the thing I don't like about it is it's very sensitive with the finger. So if you're just moving it, all of a sudden it'll go to like the eraser tool. It's like, well, shit, I don't want the eraser tool. Whereas I think I have it here. On the Wacom, they have the buttons on the actual stylus.
Oh yeah.
Right. I get that. Tim Cook wants to be all super streamlined. They want to be all modern and slick looking, but I wish the pencil had a button on it. Like it's so annoying to like just be manipulating a thing and it toggles between your tools. That kind of sucks. That's a pain in the ass. I will say.
And there is something going on with the pencil because I have double tapping shut off everywhere, and it still happens on occasion.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem I've had was as I'm using the pencil, suddenly the pencil will decide, you know what? I'm going to go draw a line all the way to the edge of the screen.
Yes, I've been running into that. And you got to and you have to hit back, and it's like 20 backs. Like, got to go back.
Yeah.
And I finally
when we were at the con, you were showing me that. You'd be like, look at this. You'd just be drawing, and all of a sudden...
It shoots a line.
Yeah. Like, what? Yeah.
My solution to that is I have a small towel that I have hanging over my work light, and I just fold it up and I put it under my hand. And
Do you think it's the hand?
Okay. Your hand is setting off the screen. So, so just make sure that the only thing touching the screen is either the towel, which is not conductive, or the pencil.
Yeah,
and
you can get drawing gloves.
Most of
They have those little
I was going to say they had the like rubber things.
Yeah, I mean, I love Wacom tablets. I bought 2 of them in my time. And I mean, all of Hatchet Kelly was done on a Wacom, because primarily because the tip was so small.
Yes. And you can change it out too.
Those styluses that have big fat tips, I don't see how you can use those.
Right.
There's
some people that got a real feathery touch, but I don't have that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've gone so far as I've worn the tip out of one Apple Pencil.
Oh wow.
Well. I might have nibbled on it a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah. But But it was like, gee, this is acting funny, and do I want what new tips? And I bought new tips, and I was like, oh, yeah, I have a new pen. Oh, this is working again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love working in it, you know. And yeah, I would love to go back to working directly on the big screen.
Yeah.
And if I ever get another computer, I know there's a way to hook everything in together.
Yes.
I gotta try it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I guess
you can get these pretty reasonable now, used. I bought mine used because I knew they were like $4,000. I'm not going to spend that on a screen, you know.
Yeah.
But now that the iPad Pro is out, you can get really good deals on it because everybody went to iPad
Yep.
and they were bailing on their Cintiq. So I've seen them out there $500, $800. I mean, you know, versus $4,000. Still a little bit of money, but it was not $4,000. So you can get some good deals on them now. So it's out there.
Yeah.
Just gotta look.
Yeah. I really I prefer working with anytime I'm working with photographs or retouching or doing things for people. You know, I don't see how you can do it using a mouse. You know, how do I draw a straight line with a mouse?
Right. Yeah, that's a ninja skill. That's a ninja.
That's the one thing. Like I gotta Wacom for my wife got me one for Christmas, so Wacom one tablet. But I envy Joel because Joel can just go portable wherever he wants now with the iPad, and I can't stand how I have to plug it into like 3 different things. Like I have to plug it into my laptop, and then I have 2 things plugged into the wall, so I can only move about 3 feet. You know, so I'm basically stuck in one spot drawing, and all I want to do is just move around. But I don't know. I feel. I mean, that's got to be. For you, Joel, I mean, I'm sure that's been a game changer. Like, you used to have to be right in the studio the whole time, and now you can just draw where the hell you want.
Down here. This is my downstairs. I'd have to be up, downstairs in my studio till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now I can be horizontal in my bed, lounging around, drawing around. So it's easy, right? So I was like, oh, I actually do have a wife here. Like, oh, that's cool. I was like, I wouldn't get to see her very much because I'm down in the studio. And then of course, I had to be an asshole and buy some old farmhouse that's drafty, so it's cold as fuck downstairs when it's warmer upstairs now this time of year. So I'd rather be up there. So let's do that. So yeah, it's definitely better in that regard.
I'm envious of you. I have 2 fans directed at me, one from the left, another one from the right. No joking. I'm wearing this kind of,
Yeah, he's in Brazil. Yeah,
it's getting on towards spring down there.
It's 32 degrees. It's not even summer. Yeah.
We're 5 Celsius for 0.5, 46 Fahrenheit. 5
I love
Celsius.
that. Yeah. I used to live in Limerick and in Dublin, and during that time would be like 5. Would be great. Like I would have the heat on or the fireplace working well. Be great, but you can't stand the heat. Heat is just terrible, and my air conditioning just broke.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I have to live on fans, until I get it done. Yeah, but it's all right. Like, so okay, let's keep doing. When you were talking about using, just coming back to the hardware now, I had a Wacom, and I also had a Cintiq, which cost me a fortune. But the Cintiq, just when I started to break because of the heat here, I couldn't get. I spent loads of money trying to get that fixed and didn't work. And I'm back to a Chinese tablet that cost me the equivalent to $50, and it's so good and it's so great. And there are some advantages to using those kind of tablets, because when I was using the Cintiq, my hand was on the drawing and I couldn't see the whole thing. But using the old-fashioned tablets, I can draw without messing my works with my hand. And I have adapted to it. And I think, oh God, I spent so much money on that for really nothing. I'm really happy with my crappy tablet now.
Yeah, it's finding the tools that work with you. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
If the iPad hadn't come out, I would probably have the latest Wacom tablet and be trying to make it work with on my old machine here. But the technology changed, and even when it first changed, I wasn't crazy about the Apple Pencil. It's only when they made it version 2 and put all the little accelerometers and everything into it. That and the software that I use, Joel's probably familiar with, is Procreate.
Yep.
Have you seen that, Joel?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. $20, and
It's getting good.
it's like it's like I'm stealing it from people.
There's a great there was a great brush pack. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It was a guy puts out, his name's Friendon, the Friendon brush pack. I think it's $8 and you get like 500 different, maybe even more, maybe 2,000 digital brushes. There's things you just don't even use. You're like, why the heck would I need that? But it's incredible. Like, it's getting so good. Looking at, got a call.
I got a call.
I'm gonna take a call. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, I can mute the mic for you, buddy.
I'll send Patrice down.
There we go. I mute him. Yeah. So that that brush pack though, Ruggiero, I don't know if you've seen that, but that's a really good
Yeah,
package.
I did that.
It's looking great. I mean, there are some brushes that you're using now, and like it looks like stacked oil paint. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I use 3 types of brushes only, and you can make them yourself. Okay,
well, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and then you have all these things, and
yeah. So,
but I will say, man, going in and doing
I'll be right
the color.
back.
That's all right. There you go.
All right.
Doing the colors on
Go get the
Deadball,
dog.
with the staining with that watercolor, I just accidentally happened upon that, and it's been working out great. So, if I didn't have that brush in that pack, wouldn't have accidentally happened upon it for that effect. So, yeah, they're just there. They're like tools in your toolbox. You might use a 10mm wrench all the time, but never use a 16mm wrench, right? So it just hardly ever.
Yeah, we were talking to Omi. Remember Omi Ramalante? He used just one brush, and that's it.
Yeah, you find one that you like and it works, and you jam.
That's
So,
it.
yeah.
The problem I find with buying those brushes, and I have bought a lot of brushes, is there's a lot of them that are stamps, and I don't want to use stamps. I want to use things that actually have a stroke in them rather than, oh boy, I can put in stars, and it's like, clip art.
Yep.
I could do this in clip art.
Yeah.
Very rarely will I rely on a stamp. It seems kind of I'm cheating at what I'm doing, because
I like the
I'm
vegetation
still
tool.
paranoid from the Hatcheck Kelly days. That's what it is. It's like, I'm not cheating. I painted that.
Yeah, but like sometimes using references is like you think you are cheating because you're using references.
No.
But sometimes you have to use references because I don't know how people would dress themselves in the 1910s, for example. And or if you have the aid now that we have Google, you can find out how people would dress at the time, how the cars looks like, and that would be something really hard to do in the 90s, for instance.
Yeah. For me, I used a camera obscura. The girl in the pearl earring was drawn from a reflection. And that's it's worth millions nowadays. But he had a box that he did the painting in, that reflected things around. And a lot of artists in late Renaissance or early modern period, they did that. All I'm doing is the same thing. I just happen to have the ability to move things a little bit faster. I think the thing that I find most about working in digital is endlessly fascinating is any layer that I'm working on is wet until I say it isn't wet. And then it's dry and I can paint over it and not worry about smudging. And then if I want it to be wet again, it's wet again. And that's liberating, because my line work, I can concentrate on things like architecture or gesture or how the world looks outside, as opposed to worrying about, oh, I've got to turn this into mud, because I made a lot of mud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, JJ, every artist ultimately wants to have a legacy or leave a legacy. What do you think that is for you ultimately? If you were to leave a legacy, what would that look like?
Oh, they're going to go the guy who painted all those pictures, people wearing masks. And I'm going to be spinning like a lathe. Legacy. Probably that I never was satisfied with anything that I did, that I was always pushing beyond it. That I have an oil painting of mine right here on the wall that I adore, but I don't know whether it's any good or not. But I've painted in oils, and I have a lot of oil paintings. I don't know. I hope whoever gets my stuff after I'm gone, and let's not talk about that. Since I'm closer to that than any of you are.
Well, we never know, man. We all got a day, right?
Yeah.
We all got a day.
I wish a meteorite to all of you. I don't know, that maybe that someone will go, well, yeah, this is what was happening in the beginning of the 21st century, and here's someone who is both calling back to the previous century, but also looking forward into the next. That's a good answer. I'll take that for $20, Monty.
There you go. Yeah, love it. It's kind of bridging an era.
When you talk about legacy, I think this is very bad, because it's like, oh right, I'm going to die tomorrow. I have to leave something.
Yeah.
but
never know, man. Could be the last panel. Never know.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, like, are you ever satisfied with your art, or is something that you feel that you have a void that is never the way you thought it would come to life?
It never does. Francois Truffaut, the French filmmaker, once described the filmmaking process as, my next film I know is going to be a masterpiece. And then I start working on it, and I realize it's not going to be a masterpiece, but it's going to be one of my best. And then I'm about halfway through, and I realize it's not going to be one of my best, but it's going to be adequate, and it's going to be a good film. And about the point he's finished with the film, it's the worst piece of shit he has ever done. But his next film is going to be a masterpiece. And that's the way I live. It's like, you like that? And it's like,
that's the story of my life.
No. My next thing is going to be a masterpiece. The one I'm working on now, the piece I'm working on now, I'm really excited about it. I think this is getting me off of the mask thing, but I'm still staying with people and architecture, and I think it's going to be really great. See me in about a month when I'm done. I'm going to be able to tell you what a crap ball this whole thing is.
Yeah, that sums up the feeling. Yeah, I feel you.
because I can't open my head and pour it out onto the page, because I tried and then I had to go to the doctor.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Because
but it's that. It's like I'm never going to be satisfied, but I know when a picture is done when I don't recognize it anymore. That's another thing. When I look at it and go, who did this? It's like, okay, it's done. Well,
I feel that way when I start to diddle too much. If I feel like I'm diddling with the word, I'm like, why? Just stop. You're messing. Just break. Yeah.
Does this look like anything you're worthy to have done? No. Good. Stop.
Yeah.
It's like, any of my pictures. You know, these poor anonymous people. You were talking earlier about taking commissions, and it's like, let's talk about the guy who like takes pictures of people on the street without them knowing about it.
Yes,
You
yeah,
know?
that's challenging.
Yeah, well, it's not challenging. It's dangerous.
Well, that's what I mean.
And,
I guess, you know, in that regard. Yeah.
right. Yes, and I, you know, I have techniques of being able to do that. If I see a guy on the street or a woman on the street and she's doing something, and you know, oh, I'll just pick up my phone. I'll get the camera ready. All right, no, that's only part of it. Then I have to do this because I know all I have to do is press the button. I'm going to press it a lot. I have to do this. Nobody wants to talk to the old man who looks confused with his phone. Well, you know, I'm trying to get my daughter on the phone here. Stay away from me. Yeah, I've had one person stop me and go, "Did you take my picture?" And I went, "Yeah, I did." Don't do that. I went, "Yes, sir. I will delete them immediately."
Yeah.
And,
oh no. You didn't know the trick at the time.
I had I ran into
I was trying to buy cannolis.
I went out one night in our city here, Manchester, New Hampshire, and it was pouring rain, but I love that atmosphere. It was like a November rainstorm, so it's cold as hell. It's raining, and I wanted the lights with the reflection off the water, and I was doing cityscape series. So here I am, like stopping in the middle of, you know, the main street, like getting down on one knee in a puddle, getting wet. I mean, that's what you do to get this angle right, like a worm's eye view, so I could have the cityscape. And then I go across the street and I start photographing a bank, right? And the security guy came out. And he's like, "What the hell are you photographing?" And I had to basically prove to him that I was a painter. I'm an artist. So like, and I'm like, and he's probably like, "Yeah, right, guy." So I'm finally like, well, fuck, how am I going to prove? And I'm like, shit, that's right. I have one of my cards on me. So I gave him my business card. And then he's finally like, "Oh, okay." But it was like, I guess it would look weird, right?
It looks weird.
That's the start of a heist movie.
Yeah, like, why are you photographing our bank in multiple angles in the middle of a shitty rainstorm in November? Like, for the only weirdo out there. Like, I just like the way their sign was and the lighting and the angles and the architecture, and I don't know, but it looked cool. But yeah, that was a moment I was like, shit, man, I'm gonna get arrested for just out here looking for research material. That's all I was doing.
Just trying to get through the day, pal.
Yeah.
It's like,
good thing I had a card on me. That's what you got to do.
You could get a drone and do that, you know. So.
I have a drone.
Yeah.
I haven't bothered to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Oh, have you not? Oh, you should.
It was the angels left it for me. I have a garage, and one day there was a styrofoam box in the garage. Well, my tenants leave things out all the time, so I paid no attention to it. And it stayed there for easily 3 or 4 months. And finally I said, I gotta get rid of some of this crap in the garage. What's in this box? And I opened it up, and it's, I don't even know the name of it, A4. It's one of the big drones. It was, you know, it was a $1,200 drone.
Wow.
And of course I went, oh my God, this must belong to someone. I better get it into the house so they don't see.
That was probably the kid that flew it over Fenway Park. That was probably that kid. He's like, I'm just going to dump this in this guy's house. Like, let's get rid of this evidence, you know. Yeah.
I have been meaning to charge it up and see what's on the video card. I've been meaning to do a lot of things and learn how to fly it. But it's just, you know, it's just one of those things. You know, I'd like to take it to the park with me and fly it around, but I have a dog, and the dog demands all my attention.
They do that.
So, well, this one does because it's a police dog.
I have a shepherd. I have a shepherd too. I have a German shepherd.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have a Belgian sheepdog.
Okay,
my second Belgian sheepdog. And yeah, when he says it's time to work, it's time to work.
Yes. Yeah.
And so. But I mean, you know, I would love to do that. I would love to like probably maybe next spring, learn how to fly this thing, and now I have a whole new bunch of things to take pictures of, or to take paintings from. Change my perspective on the world completely. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I changed one thing. All of my pictures are 12 by 24. All of the same things in the series, and that was my new thing this summer: is get out of 12 by 24, go bigger or go home. So now
I like square. I like square a lot, like 24, 24, 36, 36. I've been into just squared.
Could I interest you in a lovely piece of
Squares.
art?
Yeah, I love
because you're part of the industry, I'm going to give you a great price on this.
I expect no less.
Yes.
My whole thing, like I all my drawings were 8x10, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go big. I bought this massive drawing pad. I've drawn one thing on it. I'm like, holy shit, this is not easy. Like, I don't know why, but like on a regular size like notepad, like I feel so much more comfortable. And this is, I'm like, I gotta like figure the proportions out. Like, for you guys to do it on the canvas, man, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'd be so lost trying to make everything bigger than what I'm comfortable doing. But
then Leah goes off and they give her the side of a barn. They go make something beautiful here later.
Right? Yeah, she has a whole building. Yeah.
I have a 60-inch by 100-foot roll of paper over here, and I'm like, what am I ever going to do with that? But for a period of time there, I wanted to do large format drawings. I think John, you remember that? I was like prepping them with like watercolor ground and things, and we were doing all that. But then I moved and I lost interest. But it's still sitting over here. So it's 5 foot by 100 foot.
This is what started me off in the first place. I studied under Melissa Shook for 4 years, photography, at the University of Massachusetts. Marvelous woman. She died last year, and I miss her terribly. I actually ran into her a couple of times after school. Anyway, after I left school, but she was a very strict documentary. She liked sequential art. She had a piece which was 3 years daily photography, nudes, self-portraits. Yeah, do you know what that looks like when you walk into the room and there's 600 pictures of your teacher naked? And it's okay, but and this is old school photography. Learning how to develop, learning how to use a darkroom.
Sure, I have a darkroom in my house upstairs.
I wasn't crazy about it. It was fun. There were things I liked about it. I liked the darkroom because it was like a sacred space that you had to walk through a special door. But I bought 18 by 24 enlargement paper when none of our enlargers could take anything near that. And I just I'm just screwing around with the surface and burnt the paper and did all this sort of stuff. And Melissa couldn't understand what I was trying to get at. And so finally one day she said, have you ever looked into colorizing photographs? And I went, huh? How do you do that? And I can see a direct line from that day to today. That's wow. What I've been doing. I've been taking photographs. I've been changing them somehow, and then I screw with them. And that's it in a nutshell. Then I throw the photograph away and I leave I try to sell people what's left over. Is the dog here? The dog's here. The puppy's here.
Bring him on the show. Good for
Praise.
Get us views.
Yeah, get us views. People love the dog.
Praise.
My guy's probably sleeping outside. There's a bit of that, I guess, old world romanticism going back to analog photography. I just said, I have a dark room here, and I was thinking about taking it out, and making it a bedroom again. Because I basically put a wall through a bedroom and made half of it a dark room. But then I was like, you know what? It's kind of cool to have that because how many are left in the world, right? So it's still there. I follow this fine artist. His name's Jeremy Mann. And he does a lot of making his own cameras and playing around with lenses and optics and still doing that analog photography. And he comes out with fabulous looking stuff through the silver tin gelatin stuff. He manipulates all that. And he does painting, but he'll get the photograph into the condition that is actually. These are two of his works right here. But he uses the photographs to get the effect first, and then he'll paint oil paint
on
from the
top.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not a painting on top, but using as a reference. But the
Oh,
effects that fucking around with the emulsion or just changing the chemicals or burning the film, to your point, or making the camera, like you would never get that with an iPhone or a digital camera. Like you just can't get that. And the stuff he's putting out is pretty cool. So it's he's got something there. But I like that old world thing. And it's funny, we've gone so far with technology that now we have filters for our digital photography to make it look like old shitty analog photography, like on full circle.
It's like a thing, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, look at all these filters. Like, that's what I'm trying to get away from, is all this.
Yeah.
I don't want sepia tone. That was an accident.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was being taught how to develop 35 millimeter black and white film in those little cans, and you get it into the can, and the teacher's there going, the temperature of the water has to be 70 degrees. Can't be any higher, can't be any lower. Otherwise, things happen. They're like, oh, okay, let's crank it up.
Yeah,
let's crank the water temperature as high as possible and see what happens. And it wrecked a lot of film, but I have one picture of a dog where it cracked, the entire image cracked, but everything cracked at the same size. So it looks mosaic. I was
wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was, could I reproduce it? No.
Right.
It's complete accident. Nowadays, it's like, I can just throw a filter on top of this, do a little masking and everything, it'll be fine. And we were talking earlier about painting dead animals, and I have a bizarre little story. I was working for the Air Force, managing 150 Windows 7 PCs. It was a wonderful experience. And one of the people who worked with me said, you can do things to photographs. I went, yeah. And she went, I have a picture I need you to do it to. And I went, all right. She was Asian. She was from Cambodia, actually. And it was a picture of a family. It was just, a typical Sears picture, except it was taken in Cambodia. And it was her brother, her sister, her mother and father. I went, oh, okay, what do you want? She goes, you have to take these three people out of the picture. I just cut them out. It's like, yeah, cut them out. Make the background blend in so that only these three people are there. And it's like, okay, your commission, it's you rented the boat, I'll do it. And I went in, I did it, and worked through it and everything, and I was working on it, and I went to her and I said, why am I doing this? Why am I taking these three people out? She goes, oh, those three people are the three people who are alive. The ones who are remaining are the ones who are dead. They died under Pol Pot. And
wow.
do you want to know how that affects an artist when you realize it's like, oh my God, I'm holding your dead family in my hands. And this is going to end up in a shrine in her house of her mother, her brother, and her father. And the only two that were left were her and her two sisters. And now it was a fun project up until that point. Then it wasn't a fun project anymore. At that point, I'm dying inside every time I touch it. I still have the picture.
At that point, you're like, I wish I never asked, right?
Yeah.
Like you should have just done it.
Why did I ask? I wanted, nobody likes Daddy. Okay, I'm ready for that. My mother was a drunk. Oh, okay, that's fine. I don't care. But no, they're dead. They died trying to escape Cambodia. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry for your luck. Like, where do you go with that, right? Like,
no, it's just, it's you have nothing to say. You just go back and it's like, okay, I got to do this right now, as opposed to I just have to do it. It makes spotting pictures, taking the dust off of scanned 35 millimeter negatives it puts everything in a whole new light.
It is interesting that people don't think to commemorate their loved ones more when they're alive. Then it's like it took a death to be like, oh, now I should commission this artist to commemorate my dead whatever. It's like, well,
no, it was a family picture, but it's supposed to be part of the I don't know, Buddhist shrine that she had in her house. I don't know what, but this was the commemoration, but you just can't have living people in the picture.
Yes.
All right. Hey, give me a call when somebody drops off. I'll put them back in. Well, that's probably a bad thing to say.
Be like the Back to the Future picture when he's playing Johnny Be Good and they disappear. That's what my mind goes.
God. Oh God, I should have had sex with my mother.
Oh, right.
I love that movie, but whenever I watch it now, I'm like, man, they couldn't do this anymore. They couldn't make this movie now.
So many films like that they couldn't. Like when they were riffing on Chunk the Fat Kid on Goonies. I'm like, you couldn't even have fat shaming anymore. If we redid this film, you couldn't have the fat kid they make fun of on the Goonies. They don't fly anymore.
It's because the internet happened. That this is the most disruptive thing that has happened to civilization since Gutenberg. I firmly believe this, and I don't know when to put my finger on when it started. It might be the first transistor. That might be it. Or it might be the first iPhone or the iPad or Windows or anything. But something happened about 50, 60 years ago, and our world is never going to be the same again. COVID is nothing compared to what this is doing to us. Because you can't say anything.
Well, there's a lot of design. There's a lot of design divisionism too. That's part of it. That the algorithms pick up on things like where people are more engaging, where they're going back and forth. And there was actually, I just was pulling a post when you were saying that. They actually said that this is from Joe Rogan's page. 19 of the top 20 Facebook page for American Christians are run by Eastern European troll farms. So they're intentionally trying to get people to be angry at each other. So these other countries are going onto social media and trying to incite divisionism in our country, right? And I believe that, right? That could be a real tactic, because that was always a war tactic, was get the enemy to fight each other, not you. Why not? That's the biggest thing. But
there was a psychologist, I can't remember his name, but he wrote a book called The Games People Play. And one of the games that people play is let's you and him fight. And because that amuses me. If I can trigger you and John to go at each other, that amuses me. I get the lulls that way. But it's what we were talking earlier. Why I would bring back Hatchet Kelly? Because I have no right to anymore. I'm a white male. I do not understand what's going on in the minds of an Asian woman, but at one point I thought I did. And that's I guess waking up. It just means I have to move in someplace else and let somebody else do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's strange. It either work or it wouldn't, right? It's very polarizing. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah,
go either direction.
I don't even want to even go near that.
Because now you could just identify as an Asian woman and you'd be okay. So you could just say that.
I actually I'm a Polynesian houseboy, and that's been my goal all along. To just wearing a little pair of hot pants and bringing iced tea to somebody, and I'm fine.
You could do that now. Just run it. Yeah, right. Yes. We've arrived.
You do not want to see me in a Speedo. You don't. Gonna happen.
All right. I would pay to see that.
Yeah.
Mostly
because you're weird.
Mostly because you're 5 Celsius degrees now. That would be a challenge. The new Wim Hof.
No. Rogerio wants to see me in a Speedo.
Welcome to the Livid Lair.
At 5 degrees, we could have some more viewers.
Yeah. 10,000 viewers. Okay, 10,000 viewers.
We really would probably go viral. This would show up somewhere.
If we get 10,000 views, we'll have JJ back on in a Speedo.
10,000 subs. 10,000
there you go.
Subs.
Yeah.
Not viewers. That 10,000 viewers is easy. 10,000 subs. That's getting somewhere.
Yeah, it's all right. Talking about disrupting things or disruptive things. What would you think would be more disruptive? Oh, I'm drunk now.
Oh dear.
What would be more disruptive than internet? And you can pick a few subjects like being visited by extraterrestrial beings. One. The two is like a actual proof of your soul surviving death. I only have two options. Sorry.
I'm glad you're serious here.
How much have they been drinking?
It's a stout, but it's a very heavy one.
Okay.
It's not Guinness, by the way.
I mean, yeah.
But it's good.
The stuff Thanos shows up and goes that could beat the internet. But beyond that, it's not going to go away. The next 30 or 40 years is going to be amazing. You know, places I would not want to live right now. China, for example. Not because they're oppressive, because they're going to have a civil war. Because the next generation is not going to want to work in Shenzhen. That place is a pit. And they're going to raise up. And God help us all when China goes nuclear. Or China melts down, not nuclear. You know, we're turning into the remnants of the British Empire. But, you know, it's this whole thing. The internet's not going to go away unless they figure a way to unplug everybody, and then it would get really strange. How many people would suddenly start freaking out completely? But
Twitter goes down and people are all of a sudden, bombing it like viral. Hey, is Twitter down? Like, all of a sudden you see this huge thing, it becomes viral. Just people like, what am I gonna do? The Twitter's down.
I stopped using Twitter, but I didn't stop viewing Twitter. But I realized Twitter has a purpose in my life, and that is there's been an earthquake in Santa Mateo. It's like, oh great, Twitter, because they'll have the coolest pictures. But in terms of, hey, we're going to rail against this politician or this actor said something 20 years ago on a podcast that we don't like anymore. It's like, oh God, I can't take that. It's just too much. It's when Joel and I were first talking, he's there going, yes, so we're on Facebook. And my thing is, I never signed on
very
to Facebook.
Little now. Yeah, it's tough because like they're even getting to be kind of a passe platform because they're only going to show 5.2% of the people that you post to. Like I have 3,800 followers, man, and you would think that if I put something up there, I would at least get a few hundred like interactions out of 3,800 people, but I'll get 5. It's like apparently they're not seeing it, right? So they don't. So why do I go there? Like if I can't use it to market Livid, I can't use it to market my art. What am I ultimately hoping to get out of here? Am I looking for some type of a revelation? Like somebody's going to put some post and it's going to be some mind-blowing shit that's going to like change my person. Like, when you get 40 plus, you kind of cement who you are at that point. It's like there's nothing you're going to really do that's going to revolutionize, what I'm thinking, I guess. And so I'm like, so my time there, I guess, is getting more and more limited because I'm like, what the hell am I getting from this? So I'll do my move now is to post and ghost. I'm like, all right, put it up, get out of there. Yeah, post and ghost, get out. Don't argue with people, don't talk shit with people. Just get the hell out of there because, they know me through the show, they know me through my art, like whatever. Just who I am at this point. Just put up your thing and get the hell out. That's what I do. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. The entire world has turned into a moment of fear of missing out.
What's the latest thing? That's a good point.
I'm going to, if I'm not on Twitter, I'm going to miss out on something. What? A wonderful thing. Since when? Say with Facebook, I'm going to miss out of what? Somebody you went to high school with had pancakes for breakfast? Is that good enough for you? Yeah.
Exactly.
And I-
Exactly.
I don't know of
Um,
anybody either, too, on social media that's put up a post that's all of a sudden propelled them into some type of a next career stage or stardom. I mean, Facebook posts aren't going viral or any shit like that. So, I mean, we see a lot of there's a lot of artists and people and creators and stuff, and they're kind of always spinning in the same circles. The same people are seeing the same posts, and it's like you got to figure, okay, that can be a part of your strategy if you're looking to get yourself out there in your name, but I don't think it should be your only strategy because it's being very limited and very throttled, and that's by their design. Because they want you to pay them, a $10,000 weekly advertising budget, so you should actually be seen, and nobody can afford that unless you're
Right.
a big corporation, right? So, yeah,
I
it seems
at
to be a
one
waste of
point
time.
had to buy Google AdWords for a
Yeah, I've
client.
done that before. Kind of sucks. It sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have
Like,
to.
oh,
You have to
okay.
pay them forever. When you do the first time, you're cursed. Like you have to pay them forever.
It's fine the first time. It's like, okay, we're gonna spend $500 and we're gonna buy this word or buy these 3 words, and then they come to you a week later and go, nothing's happened, and it's like nothing was ever going to happen. But I tried to warn you that this is a bad idea. You said make the website, your charter. Chief Brody, it's my charter. I decide that Hooper drives the boat. No one got that reference.
No, I didn't. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not that younger than you are, but some things are just American references, and I'm Brazilian, so that's why.
Oh, come on! You've seen Jaws.
Yeah,
I knew it was a Jaws reference. I just
Johnny will know. Johnny will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I
John's
don't
been
think
picking
it
up
was
all my
present.
references. Every other word out of my mouth is another quote from another movie.
that's the thing. I'm the youngest one here, but I got the Jaws reference. I thought everyone else would. Yeah, I have a
Well,
Jaws T-shirt.
I do remember Daniel Boone.
Oh God, was that Fess Parker? No, it was somebody else.
Daniel Boone. He used a kind of funny hat with
Yes.
a tail on it.
The pioneer, right? The pioneer.
Yeah. It was a big hit here in Brazil, like in the 70s.
And
Really?
Watch it. Yeah,
in
it
the
was.
1950s, it was Davy Crockett, and he also
I was
had
gonna say
the
Croc. Yeah,
coonskin
that's what I
hat.
was thinking.
Oh,
yeah.
And
David
I had
Crockett.
the
I know
coonskin
that.
cap. I had the little cap. I was. They
So
had me early on. It was only a matter of time before I was like, oh, kids, you want comic books? You want some magic cards, little boy? It's like, oh God.
Yes.
I broke that habit too.
There's
you
there's
ever,
pictures of me running around as like a 5-year-old with the raccoon hat on. My parents got my son one, and I'm like, this isn't a thing anymore. I don't think.
Dennis the Menace's neighbor had one or something, or Leave It the Beaver, one of those kids had one too, or Rascals, Little Rascals. There was one kid.
Oh, right, that was the one. Maxwell Smart.
Yeah. Yeah, Maxwell Smart. He had the phone.
Yeah.
He had the shoe phone. The shoe phone, right?
Yeah, he was popular. He was popular here. Yeah. That's the guy. Yeah.
My
I'm going
neighbor and
rogue
I.
here. Now, if you know this one, man, you're next level shit. Like, how about Lancelot Link, Secret Chimp? If you know
Oh
that
my
show.
God! Saturday morning cartoon.
Nice, he knows it. He's in. JJ's in. He's in the club. You guys are out. See you, John. See you.
Like it wasn't played here in Brazil. No.
They made this chimp that he was a detective, and they'd make its mouth move somehow, and they'd put some stupid voice over it, and he played in a band, and it was live action. Lancelot Link, Secret Chimp. John, pull up. You gotta go find some Lancelot Link on YouTube and pull this shit up. We're at that point of the show.
I haven't been drinking enough of that. Yeah,
I haven't been drinking either. I just get excited about ridiculous pop
What is it
culture
called?
reference. Lancelot
Link.
Secret Chimp. It's got to be out.
Yeah. I heard of it, but I just can't recall it.
No, it's ridiculous. It's from the 70s. Like acid was still legal, right? So.
Yeah. Acid, marijuana was legal back then, and then
What am I
legalized
looking at right
again.
now?
So yeah.
All right.
Please tell me you found it. Please.
Of course I did.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Here we go. Here we
My
go.
friend
I'm
used
going
to pay
full.
Oh,
Oh, we
come
gotta
on,
watch
it's
an
gonna be
ad.
an
We
ad.
gotta watch an ad.
Car insurance.
Yeah.
Now look at how
Oh,
much.
we're skipping it.
We'll hide the ad. Just let it play.
Whenever the agents from Chump
Try to take over the world.
only one agent is up to the task of stopping them, and only the veritable quandary has the classified case file of Lancelot Link, secret chimp.
Darth Vader!
This is a show?
Yes. Look at it. It's awesome.
Oh, God. And everybody had to be in a band.
Oh, Master Henry!
Catchy song.
They had to fight Chump. That was the evil
Oh, God.
Baron Chump.
I was gonna let the whole intro play, but how long is this thing?
That's what they did back then. They had like 5-minute intros. People don't care.
Dragon women?
Yes.
Oh, that was Margaret Thatcher.
Freedom. Good. All right. They put makeup on that chip's house to make her agent. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
How long is this? It keeps going.
It's never gonna stop.
It never ends. It's
I
on
got
loop.
it.
It's on loop.
I
I think so.
Most famous
I
discotheque, the Coconut
got
Grove.
it.
Top
Oh, wait.
agents of 8 were disguised
You
as
know,
members
like,
of the
the-
Evolution Revolution, a secret recording group.
Evolution Revolution. I love
They
it.
were led by
Yes.
Lance Link and the lovely Mata Hari.
Lovely.
The Defamation League calls you guys. I wasn't here.
Holy moly.
Oh, God.
I just wanted to see a clip of them talking.
Goes on forever.
Hey, Marno.
This is the intro.
Enemy Chump is planning something big.
Abe's information was right. At the mansion
All right.
headquarters of Chump.
Yeah,
I
this
have
is,
to stop.
oh my God.
You know,
That's how shows were back then, though, man. They had like 8.5-minute intros.
The only things that really bothers me is that they selected just one character to call a strange mind.
I brought you all down well.
Could you imagine being in the
couple of years
writers'
ago-
room for that show? Could you imagine being in the writers' room for doing that show? Like,
I'm working on network TV, honey. We're hit the big time. Imagine the singers in that song. They're realizing, oh boy, I'm going to be able to pay rent this month. So this is great. I'm on Lancelot Link.
you know what we need? We need the band The Monkees to be actual monkeys. That's what they probably would like pitch.
What if we did
They pitched
that?
that to ABC.
That was their pitch. What if?
Yeah, what if the band The Monkees was really monkeys?
Joe, you are searching for the missing link. I won't find it.
Yeah. See, that's what we did up in America, Ruggiero, where you guys were fooling around with your soccer down in Brazil.
It's
I
dead
know
again.
that's great. I would have
Come on, Leah.
watched it. You know, probably
Thank you.
because my mind works that way.
Eh,
I love things that people really hate.
well, it's become kitsch. You know, at
Yeah.
the time, remember when that show was on, there were maybe 3 channels you could watch.
That's right.
So you know, you're gonna get the talking monkeys or the banana splits or some Barbara bullshit. You know, oh look, the only parts of their bodies moves is their heads. Yeah.
That was a
I might
big
show
thing,
that
though,
to my
like
son tomorrow morning.
Yes, Lancelot Link. Yeah, the talking animal thing was a big thing, though. Mr. Ed, right? With the
Oh,
horse,
Mr. Ed,
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
No,
A couple of years ago, and this was something that was on the YouTube. Someone did telenovelas with cats, and it was great because they actually was serious, and it was just cats running around the house. But it was like, and this cat would go up to another cat and suddenly start speaking Spanish to it, and it would have translation at the bottom. It's like, why have you disturbed me? I've been sleeping with my sister. It's like, this is great. This is great. And then the cat would start fighting. I'd be so, I loved it. They stopped doing it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
It's like those TikTok videos on now. That's where they all are. They're doing those little dumb 30-second TikTok things like that. You know, I watch that because I want absolutely mindless bullshit to look at night. I'm like, I'm just gonna flip through about 50 of these things. You know, I'm like, what the hell is this stuff? It's awesome.
I have an idea for something to do on TikTok, and it would require like joining TikTok, so I haven't done that yet. But you talk about legacy. It's like I could see a legacy. I could do something on TikTok with my artwork and do that. And that would work. But I also I'm not going to throw up at the end, so I'm not sure what. I'm not going to do something weird.
Right? Yeah, it needs an angle. It needs some type of a reveal at the end.
My new word is delegation. I am going to delegate someone else to do that.
There you go.
I have to get some business paperwork done, and I have been putting off, and finally I went over to my wife and I went, I have an idea. You do it.
That's a true leader. Sign of a true leader.
It, and we put your name as the co-owner of the business. How about that? And she went, oh, okay. It's like, great. And now get to work. I'll sit here and make the pretty pictures, but I do not want to get involved in any of this bullshit. We didn't even mention it. I have a solo show coming up in December.
Yes, pitch your stuff before. Yeah, hit it up.
Yes. Everyone come to the Liberty Hotel, December 7th, a day that will live in infamy.
There you go.
2021 at the Liberty Hotel, formerly Charles Street Jail, in Boston, Massachusetts, where I will be there with 9 or 10 of my finest pieces. And they will all be for sale, and come spend money. I have no idea how I'm going to get the money away from you. I may have to delegate that as well. But yes, I'm doing that, and then I'll figure something else to do. I don't know. It's like, oh, you can get in galleries, and it's like, why? Why would I want to be in galleries? I don't care. The picture is done. Let's do the next picture. You sell it. Leave me alone.
Right.
This is hard enough. I work 2 hours a night, and I sweat like I'm a longshoreman. I don't want to do anything else. I'm done. I'm old. I'm retired. Leave me alone. Old man shouts at cloud.
Awesome.
Well, yeah.
So another shout out. This is, if he's still listening, I give him credit. No, you said shout out things. All right, shout out to my show. I want to shout out somebody on YouTube. If anyone is interested in how to break the habit of playing too many goddamn video games, play board games and go watch Dale the Casual Gamer on YouTube. He will teach you how to play some of the finest games out there, and you will never have to buy a console or a PC ever again. There,
awesome.
I've done it.
Yeah, it's a good plug. Yeah.
I like board games. I play chess. I like chess. Chess is my game.
Oh man, I used to love chess. I haven't played in years though. I'd probably suck now.
We should get together and play chess.
Board games are weird.
Yeah. Modern board game. Yeah. Right.
No, hang on. Are we up? Here we go.
We're still here. Yeah.
No, I just want to see my chest.
Okay.
Okay, that's Gloomhaven.
Nice.
That's Gloomhaven is kind of like D&D.
Yeah.
Except it's all board games, and I'm a huge Gloomhaven fan. And COVID, that was the one thing you were talking about, artists doing things during COVID. I was an artist before COVID, so my outlet was I got back into board games. Because COVID had started. I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm playing something on my computer, on my iPad, and my wife on her iPad is playing something else, and the television's on and the people are dying, and I realized this is the most isolated thing I've ever done. She's over there. I married her. I love her. Why is she over there? And she's not even playing with me. She's playing with herself. That didn't come across right, but you know what I mean. And I started poking at her, saying, you know what we ought to do? We ought to get a board game. And she went, oh, you mean like rummy cubes or something? I went, yeah, something like that. And we bought Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. We played 15 scenarios in it. She hated every minute of it, and still talks about it to this day. And then we went off and bought another one. And then she said, I want to choose one. And then she chose one. And then a company sent me one for free. And then, and the reason I mentioned Dale the Casual Gamer, I went to his site because someone said, you ought to look at the Marvel Champions card game. No, I've been screaming about Magic for a while. And it's like the Marvel Champions is like the anti-Magic. It's like the baseball cards. You know, they open up a pack of baseball cards, you don't know what you're going to get. Open up a pack of Marvel Champions, it says right on the package what you're going to get. It's like, oh, okay, I could be Spider-Man. And God, and that's what we do. 2 or 3 times a week, we sit down and we play these hilarious games. And they're so much fun. We're playing a pirate game right now, and it is nothing but laughter when we're playing it. The only thing it's missing is sword fights. But it's great. You know, at one point we killed the captain of another ship. It turns out everyone loved little Gertie, and they started booing us. And it's like, okay, well, kill them too. And then our own crew went, no, we like Gertie too. And they started booing us, and they threw us overboard. End of game. Wait, what? We have to go back and play this and try not to kill her? It's just, I'm having so much fun. And that got me into Kickstarter. And oh my God.
Yeah, you could run your art on Kickstarter. That's an angle, right? Instead of doing galleries. That's always a good thing. You can do that.
I don't know.
It's work. Yeah, it's work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
No, I thought, it's not that much work.
Promoting.
It's promising that I won't reproduce it afterwards. That is the bad part. I will sell you any of my pieces, and I will sign them and give you certificates of authenticity, but I reserve the right to copy it and print it out again, because that's just the way of the beast. That's the way the art.
Now you can chip them. Put a little chip on the back and say that this is the number, right? You can do all that too.
Or an NFT. I'll sell you an NFT for any of my artwork that says you can't print it, you can't copy it, you can't sell it, you can't do anything. $10,000, knock yourself out.
Perfect.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's not going to work. I'm not going to get 10,000.
Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. Don't put that out in the world.
NFTs are a gimmick. They're a gimmick. They're just Bitcoin gimmick.
It's up and coming. That's a thing.
All of us, with maybe the exception of John, are too old to get into cyber currency. John, you can do it. You've got at least 40 good years in you, so you can blow 10,000 right now, and maybe it's your retirement. Probably won't be, but it's worth the gamble.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, nah. Buy a Bitcoin. Why? Why would I do that?
We'll see.
So, all right, it's getting late. I have kept you guys up way past your bedtime.
No, it's okay, man. Yeah.
No,
it's been cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Gotta go watch some Lancelot Link, and
I'm gonna go play with a puppy.
When you say you're an old man, that's very relative to what you expect. What an old man would be like, because like I'm 51, you know, like in the 60s, I would be considered as an old man, as a dying guy. And I don't see myself as a dying guy. You know, like, I talk to people who are 70, who are 80,
Bring him in.
even people who are 90.
Hi, Monty. Hi, Monty. Come here. Be on camera. Come on, we're gonna go viral. We're gonna go viral, baby. We're gonna go viral. Come on, there we go. There we go.
Let's go viral. Hey.
We'll go full. We can
Hey,
even do this.
Monty,
We can even go full screen. There he is.
Looks camera shy.
Should have brought in the other.
This is Monty, the Great Pyrenees puppy. Look at the size of this beast.
Right? That's a puppy. That's a puppy.
Yeah,
That's
this is a puppy.
crazy.
Turn it down a little.
That's a huge.
Oh, that's in the face. Oh, look at that face. I am not happy. I'm not happy with any of you.
This is a great intervention. I love that. Love that.
This is my argument. Well, hello, yes. Why did I do that to you? You poor thing.
I don't know how we could end on a better note.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, guys, I've made it. You know, just send me the residual checks and we'll be fine.
You got it. Literally tens of cents will be coming your way, dude.
Oh, right. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
All right, gentlemen.
appreciate your time tonight, JJ. So check
them
him out. Yeah. Yep. Liberty Hotel, December 7th, Boston, Massachusetts. You can go down and check out JJ's fine work. So that's awesome, guys. So make sure you do that. I really had a lot of fun on this show tonight, so I really appreciate that. It was really good. And
I did too. It's terrible talking to strangers for the first time, but I really appreciate you guys, and you're a great group to hang out with, and maybe we can do this live on a stage someday.
Yeah, maybe we'll go down December 7th. See you. I don't have anything else going on, so we can just shoot down, right? So there you go.
Yeah, sure. Come on down.
There you go.
There will be a complimentary cheese platter.
I hope so. It better be. Bring the brie.
JJ.
Awesome. We'll be back next Friday night, guys. There's going to be a 1-week hiatus here. So we'll be back with Marcus H. Roberts. He is the COO at Second Sight Publishing. He's a writer for Mississippi Zombie, Harvest of Horrors at Caliber Comics. So join us next Friday night at 9 p.m. JJ, thank you so much again. Hope everybody out in the world continues to stay livid, and we'll catch you then.